Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on a Friday. TGIF in St. Louis. It is, let me get my watch here, 7 o'clock. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke Grimsley is here. Good to see you. Kerry Davis is doing a sports report over for KC95 with
here
AD.
he comes.
And Jen, and now he's walking through the door.
You can see him come in on the tube.
Carlos Mantilla's over there, and so yeah, you could have spent another 5 minutes if you would have so desired. Yeah.
I mean, I see you guys every day.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, how often do you get a chance to see Carlos Mantilla?
I don't, not often.
You missed the Rebecca Black song, though, on Friday.
Shucks.
Kind of gloomy out in St. Louis. You guys need a traffic report, by the way?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, and it's, it's going to be dangerous up there with our 101 ESPN jet copter, but I will give you a little traffic report. As we look at east and westbound Olive Boulevard in Creve Coeur, it looks pretty clear. But, folks, if you're driving northbound 270 at Manchester, take an alternate route because we've got a little accident there. Matthew Rocchio can weigh in here because it is, traffic is tied up because of an accident. I was telling somebody the other day we don't have traffic in St. Louis. We got traffic in St. Louis when truck drivers crash.
Randy, it's going to add about 15 minutes to your commute. Make sure to factor that in before you leave the house this morning.
All right. Otherwise, look for accidents down in Telegraph at 255. Otherwise, just be careful out there. It's wet. You need to drive differently in St. Louis when it's wet.
Take your time.
All right. Yeah, and have a great day. I'm Captain Randy Karraker from 101 ESPN Jetcopter 2.
Easier than earlier this week, or was that a pretty rough ride up there?
Woo, pretty rough ride up there.
It's a little smoggy.
That one seemed a little bit easier than the other day.
I could barely see, though, Gary. I could barely see up there.
It fogs up.
Yeah, I had to have my phone and look at the MoDOT app. I really wasn't telling you what was going on with the train. I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
Just assuming.
Yeah. Here's what we got coming up. Oh, by the way, I should tell you, it's 7:02. Did I already do that? I don't care. It was 2 minutes ago if I did, so it's too long. You need to know that it's 7:02, and your time check's brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Busy day guest-wise. Jay Delsing is going to join us at the bottom of this hour. The Blues have some cool stuff coming up, and so Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues, will join us at 8:15. Isaac Bruce, Hall of Famer, and Tori Holt, future Hall of Famer, are going to join us at 8:45. They're going to be in town next week with the Ascension Charity Classic and everything surrounding the golf here in St. Louis. So Isaac and Tori are going to join us to talk about a breakfast that they're going to be involved with next Tuesday. And then Chip Carey, with his Friday visit, will join us at 9:15. Also, I interviewed our friend Xavier Scruggs yesterday for the 101 on Sports on Fox 2 on Sunday night. And we'll hear some of the things that Xavier Scruggs had to say about the Cardinals losing the Cardinal way.
Oh, that was a good tease.
Yeah, that'll be coming your way at 8:40 or 8:30 here on 101 ESPN. So last night, the Cardinals with an impressive, and the starting pitching for the Cardinals, Jack Flaherty just terrific.
He doesn't.
No, Kerry, I heard it. Here, listen, Kerry.
I understand. Jack Flaherty was here for a long time. He got traded.
No, he didn't. He pitched last night. Listen, he pitched for the Birds.
2-2 to Springer, and he strikes him out. So first strikeout for Flaherty in an Orioles uniform comes from George Springer. And 2 outs now with men still at the corner.
And he got it in a huge moment, too. 1 out runner at third base and just bends a really nice breaking ball. And there's not a whole lot of right to left in this slider. It's almost straight down vertical. So it's not the sweeping slider that a lot of people are throwing today. It's more of the traditional slider.
Win. Runner goes from first. Strike 3 call. And the inning is over. As Jack Flaherty
Only need 3 outs.
only 3.
So you telling me that wasn't for the Cardinals?
That's a different birds. Different color.
Darn it.
If only.
A 6-1 win for the Birds over the Birds. Jack Flaherty, 6 innings. He allows 1 run on 4 hits, strikes out 8. He walked 2, and he threw 92 pitches and striking out 8.
Good for him.
And also the velo.
97?
The velo, yes.
You wonder if he walked through the door and they said, hey, Jack, we watched you before and we're watching you now, and here's what you need to do. I don't know if that's what happened, or if he hadn't pitched in a week, so maybe there was a little bit more rest. Maybe it was just
a little juice flowing too.
Absolutely, adrenaline.
First start in a different uniform. You got a little more juice flowing.
Any of that, but boy, was he good for the Orioles. And congratulations to Jack, because he needs to have a good 2 months to get that contract that he so desires. He doesn't want to get the 1 year, $4 million deal like Michael Wacha got after he left St. Louis. So hopefully for his sake and his family's sake, Jack will get the contract. And I hope we get a chance to see him in the playoffs again, because when we saw him in the playoffs in 2019, he was pretty darn good.
I think if we see a couple more starts like that from Flaherty, then a lot more of that angst is going to build up, especially if you see that velo. Everybody on social media last night, did you guys see on Cardinals Twitter, people were freaking out where it's like, wait a minute, where was this version of Jack Flaherty this season, which he has been trending in a better direction, and he has been healthy this season. You talked about CD, that new energy coming in. That, of course, will spark when you're wanting to impress your new team. But it was very interesting in his post-game comments how much he talked about Rutschman, their catcher, and also the coaching staff and the game plan, where he said it was so much that he had to prepare for that he had to, force himself to sleep?
Yeah. He had so much to prepare for. He said, I had to get to sleep because there was just so much to take in as he prepared for the Blue Jays. Had a great game plan, obviously. And I don't know what the Cardinal coaching staff is now, because they haven't been around. I don't know them, and they haven't had an opportunity to show us enough what they're capable of in terms of making people better. But I can tell you this, back in the day, and Dave Duncan should be in the Hall of Fame. He should be in the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, if not the Cardinal Hall of Fame. But Dave Duncan would bring in guys like Woody Williams and Joel Pinheiro and Todd Wellemeyer and Kent Bottenfield. He'd just bring in guys, and I was telling Brooke about John Axford. Had a 4.75 earned run average before he joined the Cardinals. And this wasn't Duncan, but this was a disciple of Duncan and Derek Lilliquist. And he walks through the clubhouse doors, and first thing the Cardinals say is, hey, you're tipping your pitches. And he has a 1.74 earned run average. The Cardinals historically have had a great penchant for getting more out of pitchers than they gave in their previous spots. Maybe the Orioles have that, because that's Mike Elias, who was in the Cardinal organization with Jeff Luhnow, and teaching is a big part of what they do in Baltimore. They've got a lot of young players. At the beginning of the season, they had 9 of the top 100 prospects in baseball. 3 of them are up now, but they still have 6. And maybe that teaching philosophy that the Orioles have, that Mike Elias took from St. Louis to Houston to Baltimore, maybe that played a role in Jack Flaherty's performance yesterday too. I don't know. I hope the Cardinals find a way to make people better.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. I think for right now, it was a very good start. You see that velo, we keep talking about that, seeing 97, and he was consistently around that 96 range. I felt like that 95 to 96 range. If he continues to do that, then I think you could definitely panic and start to think about, okay, what are they doing different game plan wise that the Cardinals are not doing?
Yeah,
possibly with their pitchers.
The Cardinals did score 3 runs last night.
That happened.
Good. Matthew Liberatore got off. He had a good first. Matthew Liberatore was great in the first inning. Actually, Matthew Liberatore, aside from, and this is the old, we used to have Howard Balzer here in town. He's in Arizona now. But we used to have the H ratio, which was great because like the Rams would allow 174 yards to a running back, and 2 of them would be for 112. And he'd say, well, aside from those 2 carries for 112 yards, they only allowed 61 yards on 24 carries. Well, H, what about the other 112 where the guy scored 2 touchdowns? So
count those.
So this is the H ratio for Matthew Liberatore. Yeah, if you take out those 2 bad pitches for home runs in the second inning, a pretty good performance.
Yeah, but that's not how it works, unfortunately.
Did you forget he's going to be Andrew Miller?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to move into the bullpen. We only need 1 good inning.
So we just want to forget about that second inning, huh? Last night?
One and done.
Andrew Miller was a multi-inning guy at his best.
So we need 2 good innings. He's got to work on that then.
He needs to get to his second.
Yeah, he needs to get to his second.
This is what happens. I try to get a little sunshine lollipops. And just nothing.
Yeah. We're together.
By the way, a little FYI: Andrew Miller, 3 years with the Cardinals, with a 4.34 earned run average. So yeah, maybe the Matthew Liberatore is headed there. The Cardinals. What?
I think when Greg said that, he was referring to like the good all-star, changing the dynamic of how relief pitchers were used.
The Cleveland Andrew Miller that earned the contract.
Yes,
got it. The 10-7, 2.22 earned run average, 125 innings, 186 strikeout Andrew Miller. Okay, got it.
We get Waino tonight, right?
Yeah, he's pitching.
Let's look forward to that. He
Hopefully-
said let's get to 299.
Hopefully another opportunity to see Alec Burleson, too.
Like that, everything's on the barrel. Line drive, home run into the Cardinals bullpen.
He's a stud.
Oh,
Very nice.
Burley. Yes.
And you know what happened, Brooke, was last night. You've got that lefty power hitter in Alec Burleson, but the Cardinals, they lost. They didn't have their other lefty power hitter. Apparently sore.
What happened to him?
Sore back.
When did that happen?
About a week back.
7-10, let's go!
No. Rock, do not encourage this behavior. Do not encourage this behavior. It can't be 1 versus 3. Come on.
Okay.
Should that be our fantasy football name?
About a week back.
Yeah, that's a great one, Brooke. Way to think
gosh.
about
It's a
it.
weekly fantasy league, too, which
Yeah.
is it makes it
About a
even
week
better.
back.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
great.
I'm thinking about that.
Yeah,
I'm
so-
thinking about it.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think that's fantastic.
That's really good.
So the Cardinals, they do lose by a score of 5-3 to the Twins. They lose the series. The Rockies are in town tonight, and the Rockies, if you aren't aware of it, they're the team in the National League that has a worse record than the Cardinals. So hopefully the Cardinals can come away with a W here. So it's the Cardinals.
How many games are they playing them?
Well, yeah, 3.
You
And
just
the Cardinals
want
have
them to get AW?
six more wins in Colorado.
You want them to get AW or 3 Ws?
I don't care.
At this point, it's this.
I don't care. Just, but AEW would be nicer than getting swept.
I agree.
That's true.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, they kind of
It's
have.
very, it's very weird right now.
It really is.
It is.
It's like there are no words for what we're watching and what we're witnessing. It's something that I'm not accustomed to.
We got
Yeah.
a text from the 314. They said, how did Flaherty do that when he didn't spend spring training with the Orioles catcher?
Wow,
I
very
know.
nice.
Saw that.
What? That is intriguing. Wow. So you don't have to spend the whole spring training with the catcher to pitch well?
I guess not.
It stings.
I'm going to
It
be here for a while
burns.
pondering that one. I'm going to do some deliberations
gotta
here and really,
Do some pondering.
I'm going to have to
Yeah.
really
Well.
dissect this one and dig deep into this one.
In a sad development, the Rangers also figured something out with Max Scherzer.
Oh, yes. He did great last night.
Yeah, so
It was like a revenge tour last night. It really was.
it really was, and it's not going to stop. Coming up, we've got a bird watch for you here on 101 ESPN. It is time for our bird watch here on 101 ESPN. And Brooke is going to go first. Brooke, what do you got?
My bird watch is Bob the Ninth. 2 outs last night. Who is it that is coming up to the plate, guys? Is it Tyler O'Neill pinch hitting? Who is it? I mean, your wildest dreams, who could it be?
That didn't Nolan Arenado?
Nolan Arenado was on the bench.
He didn't play yesterday.
He didn't start.
no.
I wasn't watching the
It
end
was
zone.
Nolan. They brought Nolan up.
Adam Wainwright.
No.
Okay.
Give Adam Wainwright in his last year an at-bat.
No, Nolan Gorman has a back issue. So
But that's okay.
he can probably swing it.
I would think so.
Brendan Donovan he's
on the
shut
IL
down
now.
for the season.
Well,
so
you're close because it was Brendan Donovan's stunt double.
okay.
Taylor Motter coming up to the plate. In that situation. Guys, I don't get it. Because I know that you are going to try to win, possibly, and I believe that's what Ollie Marmol said, that they are going to try to win here down the stretch as much as possible. That doesn't look like you're trying to win, bringing up Taylor Motter. In that situation, it doesn't. It looks like that you had a late night reservation to get to, and you want to get out of the building. He is hitting, 174 right now?
Yeah.
It's not great. It's not great. It's not good, guys.
No, he's kind of scuffling.
He's kind of scuffling.
You know what? And you told me he's 33, right?
He's 33, yes.
Give somebody younger an opportunity to fail.
Oh, and
I mean, we already know. And this is all due respect because the guy's playing in the major leagues and he's trying his hardest. But there's a reason that he's played on like 5 or 6 teams. And didn't the Cardinals say earlier they wanted a guy that wouldn't complain if he didn't play?
that's 100% what they said. Those were
457.
yeah,
Give somebody an opportunity.
real words. And that kind of segues. I was just going to end on a positive note. I just wanted to update you guys on Mason Wynn. Did you guys see what he did last night? 4 for 4, 2 singles, a double, and a home run. And his 16th home run of the season, I believe. And he had 8 home runs in the month of July.
Very
When we're
nice.
talking about you want to see somebody young come up and have a chance, something exciting. I want to see Mason Wynn. I understand we're getting closer to it because of the different rules that are at play, but I am just really, really anxious to see him up here. He is ready. He's ready for that promotion, and that is something that is just reinvigorating for fans, just for everybody to see for the rest of the season what he can do at the major league level.
Absolutely. So give Motter.
What you got, Randy?
He's got a jersey. Let him keep his jersey at least. CD.
Yeah.
No.
We're going to go with a young man, Matthew Liberatore. This is an opportunity for him. We talked about what is this rotation going to look like next year. Dakota Hudson went out and pitched very well a couple of days ago. Matthew Liberatore's turn in the rotation. He goes out, gives up 4 runs in the second inning. 5 2/3, 6 hits allowed, 5 earned runs total. Not a great performance. That's coming off of the last start that he had in Miami, where he went a third and gave up 4 earned runs, and 5 hits. It's just at some point, and you talked about it a minute ago, he's probably going to get the opportunity the rest of the season to figure it out. And this is the part in your career when you're a Major League Baseball player, you're a professional athlete. It's make or break time. It's hard. People will tell you it's hard to get to the majors. It's hard to get to the NFL, to the NBA. It's harder to stay. And this is where Matthew Liberatore is right now. He's in the harder to stay part because if you don't perform and you're given all of these opportunities down the stretch, there is nothing blocking you at this moment. There is no one in this rotation that you can say, well, they deserve an opportunity. No, you're the one that deserves the opportunity. I think the thing that's frustrating for me, I watched him pitch that first game against the Milwaukee Brewers, and it was fantastic. And from then, it's kind of been, that's his only win of the season. He's lost 4 games after that, pitched in 7, 8, 9 games since then. It just hasn't been consistent enough. I don't know if it's a mental issue with him. He has to get out of his own way. He has to get out of his own head. And this is truly where guys look back at their career and say, man, I wish I could do that over if you don't do it correctly.
And I wonder, guys, I say this with no idea what's going on down there. But I wonder if a guy that already has the contract like Steven Matz says, to hell with what they're telling me. I'm going to do what got me here.
Yes.
And I think you have to be stubborn to a degree when you are a professional athlete. Yeah, coach, I get it. I'll do it your way. But if your way don't work for me, I'm going to do what got me here. I remember when we had Coach Hoke who left right when Bill Cowher left. He was the running backs coach before Kirby Wilson got there. And he told Willie Parker, hey, man, do what got you here. Run that ball outside. I don't give a damn what they tell you. You fast, Willie Parker. This is the running back coach telling Willie. He said, don't let no new running back coach come in here and tell you got to hit it in the A gap. Bounce it outside and run past everybody, Willie. Don't listen to them. You do what got you here. Don't listen to them.
Exactly. And with Matthew, I understand that they said that they're going to see what he has, let him work through it. But it does get concerning when your ERA is almost 7, right? Like it's just a smidge below that.
And their performance is there, Brooke, at the minor league level.
You start to get concerned because we got to figure something out with the positions going into next year. And it seems like this is kind of an audition. Does it get to the point where you do bring in somebody else from the minors and see what they have just in case, so that you feel secure going in there into next season?
You got to let them pitch. You got to let them go so you can have a clear defining answer whether or not he is in your starting rotation, whether he is in your bullpen, or whether he is in the minors or no longer in your organization. But you have to let him. You got to let him go through this and these growing pains and figure it out.
And I'm scared to death of him going somewhere else and turning into the guy that the Cardinals thought they were trading for. Because we know he's got the ability, and we know that he threw 97 in the minors.
But if he doesn't show it here, then you can't be scared to let somebody go, because sometimes people flourish in other environments.
Sometimes if you don't feel like you're maximizing your guys, though, you need to get somebody in there that can maximize them.
Maybe they don't feel like that. Maybe they feel like it's on them.
That might be. Okay, a little sunshine lolly. No. So,
Okay.
What year were you born?
What year was it born? 92.
Okay, Matthew, what year were you born?
91.
Okay, and I understand about your generation. You're not as much about things as experiences,
I'm
right?
worried about where this is going.
You're an experiential generation, right? You like trips. You like memorable experiences, right?
With their phones.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
With CD.
I like things. Yeah, right. I like things.
You like things. Well, here's my thing. For all you kids listening out there.
With their phones.
Listening on your phones. Here's the experience. The Cardinals have a winning percentage of .436. Mm-hmm. Last time they had a winning percentage this low was 1990, before you two were born. In 1990, the Cardinals went 70 and 92 for a winning percentage of .430, and they finished in last place in the division. So for a generation that wants experiences, here you go.
There you go. You're experiencing it right
this
here.
Is not the experience that we were.
Live and in person.
Our generation likes to show the highlights, right? We like,
This is
because
true.
of social media,
This
our
is
generation
true.
only likes to show the highlights.
This is true.
This is not a highlight that you put on a reel and
This is a
show off to
lowlight.
everybody. You pretend it doesn't happen.
For weirdos like me who still like things, give me that number 1 overall draft pick, baby. That's a
there you
thing.
go.
That's a thing. Give me that bright, shiny prospect that we can be hyped about for the next 5 years and never actually see anything from.
This is a season you Photoshop, Facetune, all that stuff
okay.
before you put it
Never
on
happened.
the Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can pick out one piece of video from this season. I think mine is, I'm passing up Jordan Hicks throwing the ball over the first baseman. No, I got to take that.
That's your one?
I was thinking about the Yastrzemski home run for the Giants.
Okay.
But I think I'm going with your...
Sable's home run was also a good one.
Yeah.
Like, that was so early. You still felt like it was okay, though. You did. We did.
Ryan Helsley walking off with his head up.
You still felt okay. It was still early. What is the Hicks throwing the ball?
For me, it's that, and it was
You
over
said your
by
low
then.
light?
Well, it'll be the focus of this season. What are you going to remember about this season?
Tyler O'Neill loafing it, supposedly.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of my.
Great call.
That's just like etched into my brain.
I feel like there was a picture of Ollie and Wilson hugging in the dugout at one moment.
After a game.
I think that would be mine because because
of what happened before.
We got pitching, we got outfielding, and we got catching. This is our low light. So there you go.
It's awful.
Because then you have to explain that photo. What led up to that?
this? That's a sweet moment. Yeah, it's not what you think. He was going through it, man.
There's more to that story.
So we've named right off the top of our head, like 4 great ones.
ESPN did something on this a couple of days at the trade deadline. They were showing the lowlights of the season. It started with Ali and CB Buckner in spring training.
Yeah, that was
and
bad.
then it went to the loaf with Tyler O'Neill, and then they had Wilson Contreras on there showing about him no longer the main catcher, and then it just started showing different plays of throughout the season. So ESPN definitely showed what the Cardinals have been dealing with the entire season.
It's been a lot. It has been a lot. Get
some texts in. Maybe some texters can tell us what their defining low light moment of the season was.
I'm going to add Toe Mater last night as another.
You got to throw that in there. That's totally appropriate. Seems like
There's so many.
It seems like Agos has just been in the middle of so many of them. Kind of sad.
It's been tough, man. This is not a.
No.
Not been great. Jordan Walker getting sent down. That was on the low light as well on ESPN.
A lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
That is your Birdwatch here on 101 ESPN. Coming up next, we're going to talk a little golf with our buddy Jay Delsing. The Ascension Charity Classic is coming up before you know it. We'll talk about that and more next on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals drop Game 3 against the Minnesota Twins, 5-3. Matthew Liberatore in his start, 5 2/3 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 walks, 1 strikeout, and 2 home runs allowed. Alec Burleson, though, has a great game, goes 3 of 4 while batting cleanup and drives into his 1 RBI with a solo shot in the 6th for the Cardinals. They will start a 3-game series against the Colorado Rockies tonight, 7:15 first pitch. It'll be the righty Chris Flexion, 0-5 with an 8.08 ERA on the season for the Rockies. He faces off against Adam Wainwright. Waino on the season 3-5 with a 7.18 ERA. He goes for win number 199 tonight. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffAutoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Brooke, Carey, and Randy, and longtime PGA pro Jay Delsing, who has a show every Sunday morning here on 101 ESPN at 9 o'clock. Golf with Jay Delsing joins us now on the opening drive. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Randy, I'm doing great. Good morning, guys. And starting this Sunday, we are going from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And if you thought that the sermon at church was going to put you to sleep, we got 2 hours. We got 2 hours now of golf talk on ESPN.
Love it. We'll be listening 8 to 10 every Sunday morning. Hey, I want to start with this because there was a long time where Tiger Woods, while the best golfer in the world, it didn't seem like he was one of the guys. And now the PGA Tour puts him on essentially their board of directors to provide transparency and maybe a liaison between the players and the tour. I know that Tiger garners a ton of respect, but is he now one of the guys?
Boy, Randy, I went to the Ryder Cup when we won on the U.S. soil up in Minnesota at Hazeltine, and Davis Love was our captain, and that was when we had great back and forth between Patrick Reed and Rory, and there was just and Phil and Garcia, the two totally different players now, but both shot 63 in their individual matches, and the whole place went crazy. We celebrated. We whipped the Euros' asses. And Tiger and the celebration it's like he didn't even know how to have fun. And I sat there, and I was like, man, this guy, I mean, he said he was tired and all, but the Ryder Cup, and you just experienced that, and he just looked like he was not one of the guys. But so much has changed in the live thing. This is really about the legacy of Tiger as it lives out on the PGA Tour. To me, Randy, I really think he's concerned about the live being able to basically put the PGA Tour out of business with the lawsuit. And I'm not sure how this is going to play out, other than the fact that our commissioner needed a huge win, and he needed a huge name to say, here's what we're doing. And there's nobody bigger than Tiger. And to somehow get Tiger to say, yep, we're going to let you be involved in all of the underworkings, all of the stuff behind the scenes, and have him buy into it. It has to be something to do with his legacy, and I feel like he wants to protect it. That's all I can come up with.
Well, and he was kept in the dark like everybody else about the merger, and maybe he's looking at this as an opportunity because he is, as has been said, he is the needle. Maybe it's an opportunity for him to assert and throw his weight around a little bit.
I think so, and I hope so. The positive that I'm looking for here is, what's the benefit? What is having him back there going to do? Because let's face it, I mean, he doesn't have the perspective of the everyday player. He's elite. He even in his prime, he'd play, 16 times a year, and win, 4 to 10 of those. So it's interesting that they're doing it. I love it because the people that I've talked to think that it's going to keep our commissioner and the brass, so to speak, with the PGA Tour more honest and more transparent. And I'm all for that because right now, as you know, guys, our commissioner's got a lot of fences to mend.
Yes. Jay, well, the opening round of the Wyndham Championship just had very soggy and wet conditions, and Englishman Matt Wallace was pretty upset by the conditions ripping into the course and all that stuff. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. Do you think that that's a fair assessment on his part, and what is it like playing through conditions like that?
Well, I mean, there's more than one guy that's, that has to go out there and play, and it's the same. It's relatively the same, Brooke, for everybody. I mean, what you're trying to do is, host a championship, and one of the things about golf is that, look, we're out in the elements. I don't know if you guys watched any of the Senior Open Championship over in Europe, but it's the first time since, I think, Randy, over 30 years that we hadn't had one round under par in two days in a row. I mean, so one of the things we golfers do pride ourselves. I mean, we're not that tough. We're really not. But we do play outside, and there's a lot of things that are out of our control. Having the course wet, I mean, I don't know. I read that, Brooke. I didn't really know what to think about those comments. It seemed like something else. Like I think maybe he's got into a fight with his wife, or maybe because it just didn't seem. You didn't hear 15 other guys saying anything. You heard him, and it just didn't. I don't know. I don't know what happened there.
Jay, I was scrolling on CNN, and I saw that a bear was caught on camera dragging a golfer's bag into the woods. So I wanted to know if you were aware of that, and do you know how to handle different types of bears? Because if you don't, I have some information for you. I was watching some the other day, and I went down a rabbit hole.
I know how to handle that.
I know how to handle that. Well, let me tell you. So here's the thing. If you run into a black bear, you're supposed to stand tall, make noise, and do not play dead.
That's not true. That's not happening for me.
Well, let me help you, because this is important, Jay. If you run into a black bear, you are supposed to stare at it and move away slowly. And if it approaches you, then you do play dead. Black bear, don't play dead. Brown bear, grizzly bear do play dead. And if you run into a polar bear, I don't know why the hell you would be golfing in the Arctic. Drop everything and run, because they run and chase forever and they don't get tired.
Oh, the polar bear. Pete Alonso, he can put people in the hospital.
Well, not that polar bear.
Oh, okay.
Guys, I was playing with a group down at Kiowa Island, and I saw the biggest alligator I've ever seen that wasn't in a zoo. And I had one gentleman in my group that was rather large. And I said to him, "You don't have to be fast. I just got to be faster than you." And he looked at me, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's all I'm thinking right now. He's not going to go after the whole group. He's going to go after the slowest guy in the herd." And that's what I'm thinking. Look, if a bear comes, he can have everything I've got. He can have I'll throw my wallet to him if he wants it. I don't care. I am out. I have seen one bear on the golf course, and I was like, gosh, that is not for me.
Hey, Jay, we're only 3 weeks away from the Tour Championship. Who's the favorite to win the whole ball of wax this year?
I like Rory. I really do. I like Rory. He's played as consistent a golf. It's tough because he's taken a bunch of heat for not winning the majors, and he's playing great golf, just not. For some reason, guys, and I feel like I can almost see it. There looks like there's this change in his putting stroke. It looks like when he gets into this competition, there are times where the head of his putter quits swinging through as freely, and it looks like it looks guidey and a little steery. And so all his putts come up really close, but they never go in. But I just think that I've liked what he's tried to do. He's tried to kind of remove himself from all of the live crap. He's back to playing great golf. I don't know if you guys watched the Scottish Open, but he hit one of the best shots I've ever seen on the 18th hole and finished up birdie to win that championship by a stroke. And the wind was howling, and I think he got hit a 2-iron. So he was about 230 yards away into a strong wind and hit it about 4 or 5 feet and made the putt for birdie to win the championship. So he's who I like. I would say you get guys, Randy, this speaks to how streaky our game is, because early in the year, nobody could touch Jon Rahm. Nobody.
Right, he was amazing.
It was, remember how, and you're like, this is the best player in the world, and there's no doubt about it. Scotty Scheffler has put together this crazy run where up until, I think, the Open Championship, he hadn't finished out of the top 12 in like almost 19 events in a row. I mean, he was just there the whole time. He was putting not great and still competing. And so it's just this streaky ebb and flow of everything. And so we got 3 weeks left for the and tour down at East Lake. And I just feel like Rory stayed the most consistent of all those guys. But man, it's like throwing stuff against the wall trying to pick these winners.
And then the final thing, Jay, this is a Ryder Cup year, and Davis Love saying that he'd like to have Brooks Koepka on the Ryder Cup team. It's kind of a mess right now, but do the LIV guys make their way onto the Ryder Cup team?
I think Brooks does for sure. I think because he's earned it. I think he does for sure. Everybody else is an afterthought. And here, Randy, you want to talk about a mess. Look at the Euro side. Oh. Holy cow. They're going to have 5 names on there that no one in the world of golf, and I'm in the weeds in this stuff, have ever heard of.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, it's a disaster because Garcia, Poulter, Westwood, all those guys, Paul Casey, guys that are stalwarts on their team, they all withdrew their membership from the DP World Tour, and part of the stipulation over on the Euro side is you have to be a member of the DP World Tour to play in the Ryder Cup. And in the U.S., there's every one of the LIV players that left has still paid their PGA of America dues for this year, so they're still considered a member. So it's kind of a loophole, but I understand it because of the due situation, and I watch this stupid stuff so closely that it really is a loophole. It really is a thing. So I'm thinking if there's any other player that would get tossed in there, I would say it'd be DJ. Even though Taylor Gooch has won 3 times, Taylor Gooch is not going to be on the Ryder Cup team. No way in hell. But I think DJ has an outside shot. But hell, he shot 84 or something in the second round of the Open Championship, and so he's not playing very well. I feel like everybody that's gone to LIV has gained 15 pounds. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Yeah, maybe
what's the correlation, Randy?
Maybe on Thursday rather than playing, they're eating.
Listen, when you have that kind of money, you do whatever the hell you want, man. Right. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you mentioned the European team, and all I can say is Adrian Otaegui, any given Sunday.
Yeah.
Who do you got coming up on the show on Sunday?
This Sunday, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank on who we have on the show. Oh, we have Adam Long, our local PGA Tour player, and a fellow named AJ Crouch, who is playing out on the Corn Ferry Tour. So what we did is, with a 2-hour show, is we got the first guy talking about life on the Corn Ferry Tour and the second guy talking about life on the PGA Tour. So it's kind of fun. And Adam Long is, as you know, Randy, he's a great guy.
Yeah, looking forward to that. It'll be great. Thanks, Jay. Appreciate the time. Have a great weekend.
All right, guys. Take care.
That's our buddy Jay Delsing on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Brooke, Carey, Randy, and Matthew. And you need to text in 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! Take it or leave it, coming your way next on 101 ESPN.
send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
It is time for Tioli on 101 ESPN. Brooke, Carey, Randy, and Matthew. Kids, Taylor Swift starting her run of 6 consecutive shows at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. Tickets are sold out. They sold out in a blink. But take it or leave it, and this is a tough one because there's 2 teams. The Taylor Swift concerts will be the most exciting thing to happen at SoFi Stadium in 2023.
Ooh, I'm going to take that. I'm
going to leave it.
Have you seen the amount of fans that she has?
I have,
it's
but
crazy.
Have you seen Brandon Staley coach?
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Okay. Yeah.
Checkmate.
And apparently, like, way more security than there was for the Super Bowl at SoFi.
Yeah, she packs stadiums. It's insane. And also, did you see that Travis Kelce, I guess, tried to, I don't know, try to ask her on a date? Yeah, he did, to T Swift.
Wow.
He's trying to secure the bag. He's trying to secure the bag.
I ain't mad at you.
No, you got to take your shot, right?
You should. You definitely should. So we talked earlier about Matthew Liberatore and about his opportunities going forward. Take it or leave it. He performs well enough to be the 5th starter in 2024.
I'm going to leave that. And I don't think it's his fault.
You think it's everyone else's?
Well, I think that let me put it this way. If he performed and his stuff was what it was as he is taught in Memphis, if he's throwing 97 here, I think it'd be different. But I don't think that his talents are being, from what we are given to understand in the video that we watch, I don't think his talents are similar, are being maximized, let me put it that way, in St. Louis.
Maybe he'll be the mystical 6th starter.
They could be.
Oh, yeah, they did have 6 last year, this season.
Well, and here's the thing.
How'd that go?
Not great.
No.
But if you have Shohei Ohtani on your team, you need a 6-man rotation.
Yeah, because he's pitching twice.
Yeah,
he's going to pitch twice. First and the 5th day. First and the 4th day.
Just put him out there every day, essentially.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave that only because, Carey, you're forgetting the funniest outcome, which is the guy who's starting games right now, Matthew Liberatore, will be in the bullpen at the start of next year. And the guy in the bullpen right now, Zach Thompson, will be starting games next year. Because the Cardinals have to do the weirdest thing possible.
They stretched him out to be a starter.
You know, you mentioned Shohei Ohtani. That kind of leads into my take it or leave it. Did you see what happened last night with the Angels and Shohei Ohtani? He went 2 for 2 at the plate, including his 40th home run of the season. Stole a base, scored 2 runs, drove in a run, struck out 4 batters, and threw 4 shutout innings. But the Angels still lost 5-3. Take it or leave it. The Angels maybe have made a mistake. They should have tried to trade Shohei Ohtani to get max whatever they could, because there's no way he's going to stick around for that. Because they also got beat by, the Braves are good, but still 12-5, then 5-1. So it's 3 straight losses. I just think that was a gamble that's not going to pay off for him, because there's no way Shohei Ohtani is going to continue to stick around and go through this.
That was the one potential free agent that teams would have given up a ton for. And, well, Scherzer and Verlander both locked into next year. But when you look at the rentals didn't garner a lot. I think Ohtani is the one guy that would have.
Oh, yeah.
For 2 reasons. Number 1, he's good. And number 2, teams would have wanted the 3 months to try to get to sign him.
It said he got, for the second time, he threw 150 strikeouts and 40 home runs for the second time in the season. And nobody else has ever done it once.
He's a unicorn.
Yeah, he's amazing.
I can't wait to see him be a Cardinal, guy.
Yeah, you should. You probably shouldn't get your hopes up for that. No.
Yeah.
This is, Messi's coming too, right? Or Ronaldo?
Hey, well, CD though. Think about it this way.
Oh, we're getting C-Ron for sure.
We've got the free zoo.
Okay.
Yes.
And we've got Newt, and we've got the Nutty Neuters of Newt Nation who can follow. Right? We'll jump on board with Shohei, won't we?
Yes.
We'll
of course, because the Nutty Neuters are campaigning hard to get Shohei Ohtani here.
If ever there was a place where Shohei Ohtani was going to give a hometown discount and sign for maybe Oh, $87.5 million over 5 years. This would be the spot.
Oh, that's
is
a
it?
discount.
Yeah.
87 over 5.
Oh, yeah. He loves St. Louis.
That's a lot
Has
of
he
money.
been? Oh, yeah, he has been here this year. I was trying to remember that. Yeah.
It's
Was
like-
that May?
I don't think that's doable.
Darn it.
I don't think.
When
We'll start a GoFundMe.
yeah. When Albert came back with the Angels, Trout turned to him in the dugout, says, "Is it always like this?" And Albert said, "Every day, man." All right, what do we got on the text line, Matthew?
Take it or leave it. The Cardinals' biggest mistake in the last decade plus has been not interviewing Terry Francona.
They did interview Terry Francona. They just didn't hire him. I would suggest that was a mistake. Yes, I don't know that was their biggest mistake, but I would suggest that was a mistake. There have been many missteps.
You weren't going to hire him if he was an old school manager going to do the things the way he sees fit in games when things are happening in real time instead of this.
Oh, that piece of paper.
7th inning, I got to take the left fielder out and put the center.
And then don't forget about ninth
inning.
Taylor Motter.
He's going to bat regardless because
Yes.
we got a date to get to.
Well, Kerry, now that you say that, take it or leave it. If Ollie wins the Mega Millions, he doesn't show up the next day as the coach of the St. Louis Cardinals.
I would probably take that. But in fairness, other than Randy Karraker, who is showing up to work the next day if they win $1 billion?
Oh, people will text in. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to show up to work.
I don't think so. I don't think. You know how many people really dislike their job? Yeah, man.
Or
haven't met these
you
people?
gotta get security, you gotta get your lawyers going, so you're gonna be busy. I said I would show up just so that I could do like a whole
Helicopter
little
out of a damn window is what you want to
every day.
You want to rub it in our face. Like, hey, gotta go.
I ride the helicopter every day.
Oh, yeah, you do. Yeah, that's not a big deal for you.
Yeah, no.
Wait, have you won the Mega Millions and you just never told us? Because you go up in the helicopter just about every day.
Randy's won the Mega Millions of life. Take it or leave it. The Blues need yellow numbers on the home jerseys again. I'll take that.
I like that. I'll take that.
Yeah.
I mean, they just need to switch to the baby blue.
All.
Yeah, those are good.
God, those are good.
You didn't like the gold jerseys this year?
They said that they were
bad, but
gold.
I liked them.
Again,
I did too.
It looks really
Kerry,
close to the
yeah.
Nashville Predators
Kerry,
colors. I'm just going to
there's
say that.
An entire room
It does.
full of baby blue jerseys. And if your franchise has that, you should always make the decision to wear the baby blue jerseys as much as possible.
Okay.
The organization
CC San Diego
hated the
Chargers.
navies with the white numbers. I loved the navy jerseys with the arch logo, and the organization hated those. I'm fine with what they have, though. I'm good. Yellow numbers would be fine on their royal blue jersey, though.
Don't we get the Cardinals City Connect jerseys next season?
Yeah, I kind of worry about that.
I've been waiting every summer for it. It's going to be hilarious.
Yeah,
They're going to do like all black or something, and the
'Cause
city's going to
Pittsburgh's were
riot.
yeah.
Disappointing.
It could only be disappointing.
You didn't like they had the PGH. Wasn't it the PGH on there?
Yeah, I want something
but
more.
I'm
Also, everyone's playing for second. No one's going to beat the Boston Marathon Red Sox City Connect jerseys.
What is wrong with you?
What is wrong?
Wait, what about Canary? What about Canary Yellow doesn't do it for you as a Red Sox fan?
Well, it is about Boston Marathon colors, but there is no better City Connect, and there will not be a better City Connect than the Giants with the bright white and the orange Golden Gate Bridge.
I legitimately liked them and the White Sox.
Yeah.
The South Side ones for the White Sox, I liked those ones too.
Anything monochrome is horrible.
That's fair.
The Cubs, the White Sox, the
I like the White
Dodgers.
Sox. I'm looking at some of them now.
Oh,
The Nationals.
man.
Nationals is my
South Side.
favorite.
What's the Nationals? Oh,
I like
is it
Cherry
I like
Blossoms.
the South Side.
South
I do
Side.
too.
Chicago.
Yeah.
I
It looks
like
really
that one.
cool.
The font,
If
the
they,
italic.
if they would
Yeah.
wear white pants with that, it'd be a whole lot better.
The South Side one, I could get into.
Side.
South Side.
Yeah. What are we gonna? By the way, if we put a name on the front of ours, what's it going to be? Like if it's
Lou.
going. The Lou. Okay.
I would like that better than some of the other names that I've heard thrown out there. You put like the T-Raps on there or something?
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Take it or leave it, both of the Cardinals and Blues miss the playoffs in 2024.
Cardinals. I'm going to leave that.
Cardinals
Who's
and
making it?
Blues?
the Blues make the playoffs in 2024, and the Cardinals have a shot. They told us they're going to be good. Oh, yeah, the Blues are going to be fine. Jordan Binnington's going to bounce back. You got new coaches, going to play a system. Verana's going to score 40 goals. It's going to be awesome. Jordan Kyrie's going to play defense.
I don't think Jordan Binnington was necessarily the problem last year. I think it was the guys in front of him.
Exactly, and that's why he's going to play his year, and the system is going to be so much better that he is going to lead the Blues to the playoffs. But they're going to having 2 40-goal scorers is a pretty cool thing. Not many teams have that with Verana and Jordan Kyrou.
Ooh, okay. 40 goals for Jakub Vrana.
That just happened.
Take it or leave it. Tink Hence starts the 2024 season in the Major League bullpen.
Oh, I like this a lot. It's a great question, and I'm going to take it.
That would be
Starts
awesome.
the season? I don't know if he's going to start.
Yep.
I like that.
Is he the next Jordan Hicks?
Yep.
Okay.
He's going to be your closer? 8th inning?
Not on opening day. Helsley is.
Is he healthy?
Yeah, he'll be. Well, I don't know. It's a forearm strain. He might have Tommy John before we know it.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, don't say that.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, one more.
This is an interesting one. Take it or leave it. The Blues name a captain if they're in a playoff spot by New Year's.
I'm going to leave that. I think the Blues, so the logical guy, obviously, the only choice is Braden Shen, correct?
Yes.
But the Blues...
You don't like Robert Thomas?
Want Robert Thomas to be their guy.
I just don't know if it's time yet, because Braden Shen... But would Braden Shen want to be necessarily the captain?
I think he would. He's going to be here.
Yes.
He is the leader of the team. He is what you want from a captain.
The captain curse might be a real thing with the Blues.
Can Alexei Toropchenko get the A on his sweater?
Yes.
Because that guy...
This is not beer league.
Yeah. You a young player and you tell people what time. Give me that guy.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Give me him.
Good. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Randy.
Coming up next, would you rather be a fan of the Cardinals in their situation or a fan of the Mets in their situation? That's next on 101 ESPN. St. Louis. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke Grimsley, Kerry Davis, Randy Karraker, and the Mets started the season with a record MLB payroll of $355 million. After making multiple trades, though, they are paying $155.1 million. Actually, more than that, $156 million to players that are not playing for them. The Mets are paying more for players that are not playing for them, $156.5 million, than the Cardinals are paying their entire roster. As a matter of fact, the Mets are paying players that aren't playing for them anymore more than the Brewers get, the Diamondbacks get, the Reds get, the Marlins, Guardians, Orioles, and Rays get. As a matter of fact, the Mets are paying, as we mentioned, $155.5 million to players not playing for them. The Orioles and Rays combined are paying their two teams $195 million. So the question is, with the departure of Scherzer and Verlander and Mark Canha and Dave Robertson and several others from the New York Mets. And granted, they still have Francisco Lindor, who's really good. They have Carlos Carrasco. They'll get Edwin Diaz back next year. Would you rather be in a situation where you're a Cardinal fan and your team has said, hey, we aren't going to sell the farm. We are trying to win in 2024. Or would you rather be a fan of the Mets where they told Max Scherzer, no, we aren't winning in 24. Hopefully in 25, but probably not. 26 is our target, 25 at the earliest. Would you rather be a fan of a team that says they're trying to win next year, or a team that says, nope, we're taking next year off and we're going to shoot towards 25 at the earliest?
Oh, I 100% want to be a fan of a team that says that they're going to go for it next year. Especially the way that they spent money is very encouraging. You get very excited about that as a fan base, and to see what the Mets did this season is so disappointing. And I know that they tried to say that this wasn't necessarily a rebuild, all those pieces that they moved to the trade deadline. It's a rebuild. It's a fire sale. It's a liquidation of everything that you did. It looks like a complete, and it is, a complete admission of failure. As a fan base, I would be so angry about that. I would be wondering what happened. You bring in all these stars. Why did it not work out? You start to look at the organization. You start to look at all that stuff, in which I know that we're frustrated with the Cardinals and everything that's happened this season, roster construction. But imagine spending that much money and for it to just be a complete failure like that.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I can see how some people would say the Cardinals. I'm actually going to say the Mets. And the reason why I say the Mets is because they tried it. It didn't work. Their owner came out and said as much, hey, this isn't working in the way that we thought it would. Here's a realistic plan for us going forward. We're going to move from this, and this, and we're going to reset, hopefully for 2025, possibly for 2024. On the other hand, the Cardinals are telling us, yeah, we're right there, but we were right there this year. And so when you look at, for me, I would have to answer this question after the free agency period, after they go through and decide if they're going to make a trade in free agency, if they're going to go out and actually pursue some top-notch aces in free agency. I could give you a better answer then. But for right now, based on the knowledge that I have on what they have done in the past, I don't feel confident that the Cardinals are going to go out and do what needs to be done in free agency, which makes me believe that the Mets are probably the ones telling us the truth, knowing that they're looking at 25, 26, as opposed to, next year we'll be ready to go.
I think a lot of people and Mets fans were probably hoping that they would be in on Shohei Ohtani too, knowing that he'd become available. But then you also get that possibility taken away from you, because we know that they're willing to spend money. So you think, okay, maybe you can bring in Shohei Ohtani. But when they concede that this is not going to be something that is going to happen next season, it's going to be rebuilt, I can see why that would be super frustrating. I just would not want to be in that Mets situation. But to your point, Kerry, too, about the Cardinals, someone from the 314 said, so the Cardinals are saying, in air quotes, that they're going for it in 2024. What they have said, in air quotes, all year has been very clear, right?
I don't think they said they're going for it. I think they said they expect to compete and that they aren't having a fire sale. I don't think the Cardinals have ever said we're going for it or we're going to go crazy in 2024. I have not heard that if they have said that. Now, with the Mets, they tried it and it hasn't worked. Here's my concern if I'm a Mets fan is we all talk about the Angels not winning with Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout on their roster, don't we? Who was the general manager when Mike Trout and for most of the time that Trout and Ohtani were together? Billy Epler, the general manager of the New York Mets. The New York Mets have not shown a propensity to be able to build a sustainable product. Yes, they did win the National League pennant in 2015. Who's still there from 2015? Nobody. Have they been able to win since 2015? No. Have they gone to the depth since 2015? Yes. Have they been able to take advantage of having one of the best players in baseball, Francisco Lindor, and another home run hitter in Pete Alonso on their roster? No, they haven't been able to take advantage of it. I wonder if they're intelligent enough to do it. I know the Cardinals are intelligent enough to build playoff teams on a regular basis. I don't know if Billy Epler or the Mets as an organization are that bright, baseball-wise.
For me, for the Cardinals, for me to believe that they're going to have a successful year next year, like, we have to have honest conversations. We have to know that they're going to spend money in free agency if,
like the Mets did this year.
No, not to that degree, but actually go and spend money on an ace. Go get a guy that if it costs $35 million a year, maybe you have to pay that, and you have to just accept that. If you have to go and make a trade in free agency, and it's going to cost you one of your star players that you really think is the future of this team offensively, to get a starter, to get an ace or a number 2 type of pitcher, you're going to have to go do that and spend that in free agency, in trade. So until they show me that they're willing to do that and spend money correctly, I don't know how much faith you can have.
And you have to stick to your word. That's what you're talking about, is that transparency. How much have you been saying that? If you say that you are going to try to make a push for 2024, maybe that is the correct way to view as they're looking ahead to next season. If you're going to try for 2024, then you do have to go get those pieces in free agency. And we know that they do have a willingness to spend in free agency, but it's how they spend it, who they spend it on. The quality is what matters. And I would like to see some additions to the coaching staff, maybe. I mean, we talked about maybe some sort of coaching or catching coach or something like that. Maybe somebody to help on the pitching side, because you cannot have the same issues happening. And once again, if we see Jack Flaherty continuing to do well, he's talking about how well their game plan is over with the Orioles. I'm just curious what the game plans are like for the Cardinals.
And I don't know how good of a coach in terms of tweaking velocity a guy like Chris Carpenter would be. But I think having Chris Carpenter on your staff can only be a positive. If you can get Chris Carpenter working with your team at the major league level, there's no way it can be a negative. But when we see Flaherty go over and throw 97 in Baltimore, if we see that for the rest of the season, when we see Liberatore go down to Memphis and throw 97 and then come up here and he's 93, 94, I'd like the Cardinals to get somebody who has that mechanical experience to get the most out of those guys. Here's my bottom line with this question. For me, this year for the Cardinals is the blip. For me, last year when the Mets won 101 games, that was the blip. I would rather have the blip being bad for a year than good for a year.
Because then that at least shows that maybe you're building towards something. Is that how you're seeing it?
You got a shot. Yeah, you got a shot.
So you talk a lot about the Braves and what they did and how they went about signing their guys. They signed them earlier, correct? They signed them earlier to what looked like huge contracts, but in the grand scheme of things, Ronald Acuna got an 8-year, $100 million deal. If he was a free agent right now or headed towards free agency, he would be getting much more than that. So the Braves made a really good decision of signing those 22, 23-year-olds to long-term deals for less money than they would be getting paid in the future. Maybe that's instead of we're just going to wait till we get to arbitration and then we're going to piss you off in arbitration because we're going to tell you how much we don't like you and how much you don't deserve. How about actually paying guys more earlier than waiting till it gets to be later.
And properly evaluate.
And they did that with Colton Wong, right? They paid him a nice size contract earlier.
Paul DeYoung.
Yes.
Alan Craig. Matt Carpenter. A lot of guys. But for the Cardinals, they haven't evaluated the players like Atlanta has. And when you talk about Austin Riley and Albies and Acuna. And I know Max Fried has been hurt, but he's also a world champion and has been a key part of a world championship rotation. The Braves have done a fantastic job. They've done it with Michael Harris II now. They've done a fantastic job of evaluating the correct players to sign. I would love to see the Cardinals sign Jordan Walker. Take care of that now, right? Get him done. Have him here for long term. Sign Gorman. Have him here for long term. Make sure that your young players are going to be here and build your nucleus that way, and know that for the next 6, 7, 8 years, you're going to have those guys as your core.
They are in the perfect position to do that with Nolan Gorman, with Jordan Walker, with Mason Wynn next year, if he, or a year and a half, if he's performing well. You have the opportunity, and then you have money saved up to go spend it in other areas if need be.
Yep. And you're right. They're capable of it financially with all the money coming off of the books this year. I would hope that that's something that they start with. That's Carey. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. And that is today's Fresh Take on 101 ESPN. Coming up, the Blues with some fun things that are starting here in the next couple of days. And the voice of the Blues, our buddy Chris Kerber, will join us next here on 101 ESPN. Kerber is going to join us in a moment. The Blues have a really cool documentary that's coming out on their YouTube channel on Monday. It's called The Anatomy of the Draft, presented by Stiefel. And the Blues behind-the-scenes team, Blue Note Productions, followed their scouting staff and their front office staff through the entire process of getting to the draft. And the Blues had the 3 first-round draft choices. And this is an exclusive behind-the-scenes look that will be unveiled on Monday on the Blues YouTube channel. And joining Brooke and Carey and Randy right now is the voice of the Blues here on 101 ESPN, Chris Kerber. Kerbers, good morning. How you doing?
Randy, doing well. How are you today?
Everything's great, and I'm excited about this because I always love this behind-the-scenes stuff that the Blues do a great job of, and we rarely get an opportunity to see.
Yeah, there's some really cool stuff, and I think one of the coolest ones they did was a good number of years ago when Ken Hitchcock was planning training camp, and he gave access to our production crew, and they basically had all the coaches mic'd up, and it really was like a 6-part series on how they got ready for camp. They were talking about players' things, and it wasn't just big here. I mean, it went big nationally, especially up in Canada. So this one's going to be great. Doug Armstrong was kind enough to give access to this process, and I think fans are going to be really intrigued to see kind of the inside workings of how this all works.
Kerbs, just because we haven't talked to you in a bit, I wanted to ask you about Vladimir Tarasenko. Were you surprised about his one-year deal?
No, as the time went along, it felt to me like there really was no way that he was going to do much more than a one-year deal. The challenge that they have, that he had, is one with changing his agents, two, maybe not really understanding or maybe getting a real clear vibe of the market, or being on the same page as his agent that he fired. Who knows what that process actually was for him, but there's only a certain number of teams that you feel are in a position to really challenge for and win a cup. And when you're 31 years old, you want to go to a place that's going to win. You don't want to go to a rebuild. You're not going to sign with the Anaheim Ducks right now. You're not going to sign with the Arizona Coyotes right now. You're going to go to a team that has a chance to win. Well, this was the final year, or we hope, of that flat cap. And so there just wasn't a lot of cap space to go around. You had to, Ryan O'Reilly realized, hey, 4 times, 4.5 was a strong deal for him where he's at with his age and stuff like that. And if you were looking at this point for a 7x7, which we're seeing the Anaheim Ducks hand out to Troy Terry, right? Or an 8x8, which we saw the Blues give to Thomas and Kyrou a year ago, that type of contract wasn't going to be there. And I think there was a little harsh reality to it. This one-year deal gives them a chance to regroup, go play, have another good year in Ottawa, and see how it goes. But it's going to get harder and harder for that multi-year value deal for him. And I think he realized that. And so signing with a team that's an up-and-coming good team is going to give him a chance to perform well.
Also, do you think maybe it sweetened the deal a little bit having Brady Tkachuk as the captain with the Senators? That familiarity?
No, I don't know that. Well, look, I think it's because you've got a team that's a good up and coming team. More than anything, yeah. I mean, Brady being there is part of that process. But again, it's not a big deal for him. The challenge that he may have, I mean, it's a 1-year deal, and it depends what his body does. He went to New York. He played okay. Wasn't great in the playoffs. The Rangers had a disappointing playoff run. And I think that with the agent scenarios probably slowed some teams down on him a little bit. Or maybe not being as, I don't know, prepared's not the right word. But I sometimes wonder if players and agents are on the same page where the value of where the player really is and maybe a true understanding of the market, and what you could get is there. And in Vladimir's case, it just doesn't seem to me like that connection between he and his agent were there. And I got to think that's one of the reasons that he changed agents.
Kurt, we were talking about who could potentially be wearing the C next year, and I think most of us are in consensus that Braden Chen should be that guy. But a person that could be wearing the A, in my opinion, is a young man, Alexei Toropchenko, who was very vocal last year when they were performing poorly. What are your thoughts about him going into this season?
I hadn't thought about him as an assistant captain. I think, but it's an intriguing thought because I liked what he said when that happened. Yeah. I know the team came out, said what they said. I don't buy any of that baloney. to be honest with you. He was fired up. He was emotional, and I don't know that there was a whole lot of lost in translation there.
Not at all.
I mean, that English. Now look, it might have been a little more direct than he or anybody would have liked it to be, but it was real good emotion. So, I am in agreement. I also. The leadership by committee thing with a young team like this, I'm not so sure I'm a huge fan of. We've seen other teams do it. The captain thing matters, and I think if you're going to turn this thing around, you're going to need a good, strong captain that can be vocal, and to me, and lead the right way. And to me, that can be Braden Shen. Eventually, maybe Robert Thomas. You could put it on Justin Falk, but I don't know that he's as vocal maybe as Braden Shem would be. Colton Parayko, but again, the same vocality that we're talking about. But I think with Falk, with Parayko, with Robert Thomas, I don't know that the leadership group of just the main four with letters is deep enough for Alexei Toropchenko to get it. But what you do hope, Kerry, is that he continues that trend, though, of competitiveness, of being there, of fighting for it, and being vocal when he needs to be. It's okay for a young player to be vocal, and I think it's important for the development of a young team. So whether he has the A or not, he'll still get that opportunity to step into that leadership role.
The Blues Anatomy of the Draft on their YouTube channel. It premieres August 7th, this coming Monday at 7 p.m. Curbs, I'm wondering, and I don't know if you know this, but do you think that this is something that would have been thought about or executed had the Blues not had the 3 first-rounders?
No, I don't know that it would have been as interesting, Randy. But sometimes that draft can be quite dull. This one's exciting because the Blues are saying, do we move up? Do we move back? Where is it? The debate that they have. And I think what fans are going to really see, too, with this is how much faith Doug Armstrong or a good general manager puts into his staff, into the other guys. Listen for the advice, listen for the debate, and listen for how Doug kind of steers and leads it through those situations. So it was the fact that they had those 3 first-round picks that I think led to the fact that it was such an intriguing first round. And so, no, it probably doesn't happen without having those 3, but I think fans are going to like the fact that they did now.
And people can check out the trailer. All they need to do is go to stlouisblues.com and so much else. Heck, we're a little over a month away from training camp, but there's a lot going on with the Blues, a lot of music things happening for the 2023-2024 season, and before you know it, training camp is going to be here.
Yeah, this is going to go pretty quick, and I mean there's still some good questions. I was talking with Anthony and Riz yesterday about it. Who fills that top 6 role? I still think there's a hole there. What do they do? Is it injuries or is it a move that kind of breaks the logjam on defense for this team? What is the new? How does this team look differently in terms of their system or how they're going to play? With Weber in as the defensive coach and with Craig Berube making some of the adjustments that he's made. And so a lot of great questions to come out. You're right. Look for the St. Louis Blues to be very involved with some of the upcoming music festivals as well. And go to stlouisblues.com for all those details. And it's going to be kind of an exciting 6 or 7 weeks as we get into it.
Curbs, always good to hear your voice. Have a great weekend. Thank you very much. And we'll talk to you on Monday.
All right. Yeah, we'll talk to you on Monday. You guys have a great weekend yourself.
You too. See you later. That's Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues here on 101 ESPN. And by the way, in celebration of the enduring spirit and impact of blues music, the music genre that gave the hockey team its name back in 1967, the Blues debuted the opening notes of a new arrangement designed to meld the city's vibrant music history with its passion for the unmistakable experience of blues hockey. For blues diehards and fans of the Blues alike, the multimedia campaign will amplify the city's famous blues music scene and support local artists across a variety of fan events. So check it out. You can learn more at stlouisblues.com. We need a fighter for the fight on this Friday. All you need to do is text in your name and the word fight to 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO if you would like to fight with me. And then coming up after the fight, we're going to talk to Tori Holt and Isaac Bruce. And then in the 9 o'clock hour, we're going to hear from Chip Carey and Xavier Scruggs. So a lot coming your way in our second half of this edition of the Opening Drive on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals yesterday fall to the Twins 5-3. Matthew Liberatore, an uneven start, 5 2/3 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 walks, 1 strikeout, and 2 home runs allowed. It was a good game for a young player. Alec Burleson batting cleanup goes 3 of 4 with a solo shot in the 6th for his 1 RBI in the game. Cardinals back in action today, starting a 3-game series at Busch Stadium against the Colorado Rockies. It'll be the righty Chris Flexen for the Rockies, 0-5 on the season with an over an 8 ERA, facing off against Adam Wainwright as he goes for win number 199. That is your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome to the fight. In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Karraker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. I'm Kerry Davis, joined by Brooke Grimsley, and it is time for the fight. And our fighter today is Peter. Peter, how you doing?
Doing really well, TD. How are you?
Doing wonderful. Peter, you have an opportunity here. We talk about this usually every Friday to send Randy into a tizzy over the weekend, stewing, just going crazy because he lost on a Friday. Are you ready to do that to him today?
It's a tall task, but I'll do my best. But at the same time, it is Friday, so I won't let Randy ruin that.
Here we go. Which Cardinals catcher holds the Major League record for the most consecutive errorless plays with 1,565 across 252 games? Is it Ted Simmons, Yadier Molina, or Mike Matheny?
Sorry, I hit my foot. Sorry.
But Mike Matheny.
That hurt. Hassan Reddick is the only player to tally 3 consecutive double-digit sack seasons for 3 different teams. He did this with the Eagles, Cardinals, and which other franchise? Is it the Falcons, Panthers, or the Giants?
Who was it? I have no idea here.
You
Who
said
was the player?
Oh, Hassan Reddick.
Let's go with the Falcons.
Last night, Jordan Walker became the youngest player to bat third for the Cardinals since this outfielder in the late 50s. Is it Gene Green, Bill White, or Curt Flood?
Curt Flood.
Which old school Pirate holds the distinction as the only player in league history to get 7 hits in a 9-inning game? Is it Roberto Clemente, Rennie Stennett, or Richie Zisk?
Let's go with Roberto Clemente. Who knows?
All right, we will double-check that score, and we will bring in Randy Karraker.
Peter, how you feeling?
It's still Friday.
There you go.
It is still Friday. It's a wonderful day. Thank goodness.
It is. It
We
really
are
is.
get a few days.
It's
here.
starting to clear up a little bit outside.
I wanted to stay. I need
You
to.
like gloomy, soggy
because
weather?
the reason being, Saturdays are hard for me to stay asleep.
Oh.
And so if the sun isn't out on Saturday, I can sleep in.
There
I
you
might
go.
be able to sleep till 9 a.m.
Wow.
Dun, dun, dun.
You need to get some blackout
I
curtains.
definitely do because it's too bright. And I like to get some sleep in. Randy, hello. You put your jacket
there's no
on?
chance of me sleeping until
No?
9 a.m. None.
Zero.
It doesn't happen.
No.
Randy, say hello to Peter.
Peter, good morning. How you doing?
Doing well. Good morning to you.
Hey, thanks for listening. Thanks for playing. You got weekend plans?
Playing golf tomorrow, so sorry, CD, but I need some sunshine.
Yeah, we need some sunshine tomorrow. Yeah, I'm with you, Peter.
You can play in the rain. They play football in the rain.
Yeah, they do. It's a little bit different than golf.
Okay, a little bit. All right, you ready?
Ready.
Which Cardinals catcher holds the Major League record for most consecutive errorless plays with 1,565 across 252 games?
Most errorless plays by a catcher. I'm going to go with Tom Pagnazzi for that.
Hassan Reddick is the only player to tally 3 consecutive double-digit sack seasons for 3 different teams. He did this with the Eagles, Cardinals, and which other franchise?
So he was a first-round draft choice of the Cardinals. He did it last year for the Eagles, I believe. And I believe in between he was a member of the Carolina Panthers. I'll go with Carolina Panthers.
Last night, Jordan Walker became the youngest player to bat third for the Cardinals since this outfielder in the late 50s.
Are we sure about this?
I don't write the questions, Randy. I just read them.
Okay.
According to ESPN stats and information.
Okay.
Randy, I want to reiterate. I don't write the questions.
You don't write them.
I just read them.
Okay.
Even if they're written wrong, I still read them.
You just got to read them, right?
I guess
We're
just read them.
anchormen
I guess
over here. We're just over
in 2001,
here.
McGuire, although McGuire was hurt a lot in 2001.
Ron Burgundy?
Ron Burgundy.
Ron Burgundy.
So I'm intrigued that Albert would not have hit third in his rookie year for the Cardinals. Wally Moon is the guy that I will go with. He won Rookie of the Year, and he was young. So I would go either Wally Moon or Bill Verdon, outfielder, 50s, Cardinals, young. One of those two. I'm going to go with Wally Moon.
Which old school Pirate holds the distinction as the only player in league history to get 7 hits in a 9-inning game?
Rennie Stennett against the Cubs. I'm going to go with Rennie Stennett, final answer.
All right, we have a tie today between Peter and Randy, so we will go to our tiebreaker question, and we will have to have Randy pull out his pad of paper. And Peter, here are the rules. I will read the question. We'll give Randy a moment to write down his answer, and then we will have you give your answer audibly. Randy can then show everybody what his answer written down was. Peter, do you understand those rules?
Yep, that sounds good.
All right, Randy Karraker, are you ready with your piece of paper?
Not yet. Okay, now I'm ready.
Carey took that smirk off his face. I see. That's good. All right. Oh, wait. No, there it is. It's back. All right. Randy, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. How many catches is Michael Thomas's reigning NFL catch record? How many catches is Michael Thomas's reigning NFL single-season catch record? Randy Karraker, do you have a guess?
I do. I have a guess. Total guess.
Oh, man.
Total guess.
Peter, what is your guess, sir?
Let's go with 158.
All right, Randy Karraker. Peter guessed 158. What is your guess, sir?
My guess, Matthew, was 149 catches.
All right, Price is Right rules here, although if you go over, you can still win. It's just closest to the pin are the actual rules here. I just missed the Price is Right.
This is still on.
No, it's not. No, it's not. That's Drew Carey, and it doesn't count.
What?
I'm just saying it doesn't count.
That's a hill you're going to have to die on.
It still is on, technically. I just want to correct that.
Fine.
Price is wrong, Bob Barker.
The Price is wrong right now, Drew Carey. So, does Randy Karraker take down Peter, or do we all have to go into the weekend with a cloud over our head, except for Kerry Davis, who I guess kind of wants a cloud because he needs to sleep?
I do.
Ooh, that was a good segue.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ring that bell.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Karraker.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis, with the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
Randy even showed his answer to the camera. The correct answer, right on the button.
What's the answer?
149, sir.
That is in fact
a great guess.
That is in fact the number of catches that Michael Thomas had when he broke Marvin Harrison record. So unfortunately, he got it right on the button, and he beat you today in the fight, Peter.
I can't compete with that, but that's all good. Have a great weekend, everyone.
You too.
Peter.
Thank you, and have a great game. Hit him well tomorrow.
There you go. And the crazy part is that this does not happen very often. All 4 questions were answered correctly today, but it was 2-2 for Peter and Randy Karraker. Which Cardinals catcher holds the major league record at the position for the most consecutive errorless plays with 1,565 across 252 games? It was Mike Matheny who did it across the early 2000s, ending in 2004. Hassan Reddick, the only player to tally 3 consecutive double-digit sack seasons for 3 different teams. It was, in fact, the team he was drafted by, the Cardinals. He then went to the Panthers for 1 year and did it there, and then this past year with the Eagles, which is with his highest sack total of 16. Last night, Jordan Walker became the youngest player to bat third for the Cardinals since this outfielder in the late 50s. According to ESPN stats and information, it was Curt Flood.
Oh.
And which old school Pirate holds the distinction as the only player in league history to get 7 hits in a 9-inning game? It is, in fact, Rennie Stennett. So we go to the tiebreaker, with how many catches is Michael Thomas's reigning NFL catch record? The answer was 149. Randy Karraker's answer was 149. And so Randy Karraker wins today's fight.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That's the fight. Isaac Bruce, Hall of Famer. Tori Holt, future Hall of Famer, getting involved in golf here in St. Louis. They're next on 101 ESPN.
Was that the gotcha?
Let's listen in on a modern-day marriage proposal. The players lift their smartphones. The young man pledges his true love to the woman of his dreams. She accepts. They exchange kissing emojis. There are some hearts. Very nice. Well, look at this. He's putting his phone down. I don't believe it. He's got a box from Diamonds Direct. Well, now she puts her phone down. Oh, unbelievable. That, folks, shows how special a diamond from Diamonds Direct is. Two people have put their phones down. He slips the Diamonds Direct diamond on her finger. She kisses him. Human contact, ladies and gentlemen. Who knew a Diamonds Direct diamond was capable of revolutionizing the virtual universe? And look at this. Her phone is ringing and she's still looking at her Diamonds Direct diamond. Oh, what's next? Tweets from actual birds? Amazing things really do happen when you give her a diamond from Diamonds Direct. Come in today and see how we can help you download real emotion. Details, store hours, and more at diamondsdirect.com. Your love, our passion.
.101 ESPN has your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to the Night of Fire and Thunder Back to School Bash Midwest Drag Racing Series, Saturday, August 19th at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Brought to you by Travers Automotive and RV Group. Bring out the whole family for a night filled with jet cars, dragsters, pro mods, fireworks, and more. Tickets are on sale now, and kids 12 and under are free. Get entered to win that free 4-pack of Night of Fire and Thunder Back to School Bash now, either at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 mobile app.
Super Bowl champ Kerry Davis. I'm Randy Karraker, and it is the opening drive on 101 ESPN. And we're looking forward, as we always do, to the Ascension Charity Classic coming up in September here in St. Louis. And the third annual Legends Fundraiser Breakfast will kick off tournament events coming up on Tuesday over at Glen Echo Country Club. You can get tickets at ascensioncharityclassic.com. And the people that are going to be your hosts for that breakfast are Hall of Famer Isaac Bruce and future Hall of Famer Tori Holt, who join us now on 101 ESPN. A couple of my all-time favorites. Isaac, good morning. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good, Randy, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thrilled to have you. And Tori, it's always great to hear your voice. How are you?
Yes, sir. Good morning. How's everybody? Thanks for having us on, Randy.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here in St. Louis and looking forward to the breakfast on Tuesday. And I know that you guys, when you were here with the team and throughout the course of your time since you left St. Louis, you guys are so involved charitably. And Isaac, I know that this is something that you really hold near and dear to your heart, is helping out people that need help here in the St. Louis area.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to it, man. I mean, most definitely, my teammates and I, since the moment we came to St. Louis, spent our time in St. Louis, and, you know, we really established ourselves in the community there. So it had really nothing to do with just the Rams itself, but just the people that, you know, I believe that we were and that who we are. And it's the same reason we continue to do what we do in the communities. Tori has exhibited it. Other teammates, guys like Kurt Marshall, Big O, they're still very, very present in the community of St. Louis, and just something that we just can't get away. It's a city that showed us so much love since we were there. And all we're doing is reciprocating.
Tori and Isaac, there is a Pro-Am also with the Ascension Charity Classic. Will you guys be participating? And also, how's your golf game, if so?
We'll be participating. Looking forward to that. In terms of golf game, you know, I'm okay. I'm not, you know, I don't play with enough regularity to be, you know, ultra good at it. But you know, I think we can hold our own. I know Isaac is good with the putter, so you know we'll just try to knock it out in all three phases. Somebody tee it off, somebody get us there, and then let Isaac finish it. But we're looking forward to getting out and really impacting, having an opportunity, as Isaac mentioned, to continue to positively impact the community there in North St. Louis County, along with Ascension in this charity classic, as well as the talented APGA golfers, Pro-Am golfers that are that are enjoying their sport and at the same time getting the chance to impact their community by raising funds.
Fellas, I got to get your opinion on this. I'm reading this post from Twitter account called the 33rd Team. I don't know if you've heard of it. I believe your former coach is a part of it, Mike Martz. And they listed the greatest wide receiver duos of all time. Do you all know where you all are?
First of all, what's up, Kerry?
Hey, what's up?
I haven't seen it. What's up? Yeah, I saw that. Did you see it?
Okay, so you all are number 9. And in front of you, that's what I said. So I'm going to give you the list. Number 1, Randy Moss, Chris Carter. Number 2, Jerry Rice, John Taylor. Number 3, Randy Moss, Wes Welker. Number 4, Larry Fitzgerald, Anquan Bolden. I heard a laugh there. Okay, number 5, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, which is laughable as well. Number 6, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne. Number 7, Mark Clayton and Mark Duper. Number 8, Lynn Swan and John Stallworth. And then you two are number 9. What are your thoughts?
Tori, you go ahead.
So,
either one of you?
Okay, I'll go first. Let's. First of all, I respect all of these guys. For everything, for their entire body of work. It's amazing, and it's all as hard as you know, Kerry. The practices are hard. Mm-hmm. The games are hard, and when you get a combination of guys, a duo of guys that can go out and perform at a very high level, you got to sit back and respect what they do. You obviously have to ask people who have gone through the gauntlet. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you just sit back and just ask people who really have not been through the fire, those numbers can change, like the weather in St. Louis can. It can go from winter straight to summer, with no fall in between. So when I look at things like that, obviously, my fist can ball up on his own. I can throw my own list in. I don't think the list starts until you start at number 2, because when you talk about the greatest duo of all time, me and my partner that's on the other end of this call, hands down. I mean, there's no argument about it. When you're teaching young receivers the ins and outs of how to be a professional receiver, how to run routes versus zone, how to be wide open versus just being open, you put the film of Torrey Hope. You place that film in front of them, they're going to learn how to play the game. They're going to learn how to run the route tree. They're going to learn how to separate. They're going to learn how to be a smart wide receiver. So they're going to get the wisdom of the game by just watching his film when you put it up there. Now, let's be honest. How many of those other guys that you mentioned
other than Mark Clayton and Mark Duper, and I'm biased to those guys, that you can obviously sit down and show these guys, you know what, this is how you do it. This isn't spectacular, but it is routine-ish the way they do it.
Tori, we need you to weigh in here.
Yeah, look, man. I mean, I've seen so many lists, and what the OG said, what Isaac said, I concur with. But we played the game and took the game very seriously. We are craft masters. We are champions. We are trendsetters. All of what the position embodies. We are that. And, when we used to go out in the tunnel, right before the tunnel, man, and our thing was the best. So that's how I feel in regards to any list. And as Isaac mentioned as well, I respect all of those guys on the list, every last single one of them. But with the mentality, with the alpha mentality that Isaac and myself carry, we certainly feel like we're the best.
All right, and guys, let me add something to this because you're both being very humble. All due respect to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, who are great. What would What would you guys do with the rules today? If you were playing today with your offense in 2000, what would you do?
Randy, that's where I was going with it next. I mean, let's be honest, man. These two guys shouldn't even be on the list with the other guys that are mentioned right now because the rules have tremendously changed. You can't touch a guy down the field. You can't hit. You can't be hit just because. We were hit. Okay, so there's a huge difference in that, and you have that mentality in your head. Not only do the offensive players have it in their head, the defensive players have it in their mind. So they know if they hit this guy, that's a $15,000 fine. So that's adding at least another 40 to 50 yards a game for these guys. Let's just be real with that. That's just the down honest truth about it.
Yeah. With our ability to be able to penetrate and get into your defense the way we were able to do it, as physical as the game was when we were playing, and the way that the rules are now, it'd be sick, man. They talk a lot about video numbers. I mean, we would have exploded a lot of video cartridges with the way that we the way that we ran routes and the way that our speed and our precision. It would have been stupid.
Yeah. Nobody else has been banned from Madden tournaments except the greatest show on turf. And another thing, I don't know if you guys ever heard this stat, but when Kurt got hurt in 2000, when Steve Everett was the backup center and broke Kurt's finger, you guys were on pace for 6,600 passing yards.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. Exactly.
Wow.
That's a lot of. Think about that, guys. I mean, that's a lot of miles, man. I mean, that's a high level. That's a high level of production that Isaac mentioned earlier in the show. Again, that we took a tremendous amount of pride in. We took pride in being productive. We took pride in really setting the tone in terms of who was going to dictate the pace of games. And it amounted into a mass numbers that we kind of reset the standard in terms of how the passing game was going to be played.
Yeah.
And when you look at our imprint on today's game, these players, these offenses, these offensive coaches, coordinators, they talk and compare what we did versus today's game. No one else is getting that same, attention. They're not getting that same, respect that we earned on the field right now. So they're trying to duplicate, what Tori and myself had, along with our other teammates, man. I mean, they may try to do it as far as offensive stance or standpoint, but when you talk about the actual players that we had, the personnel, that'll never be matched. I mean, you can forget it. That'll never be matched.
And I think the biggest compliment too, and really shows the respect that people that are still coaching the game and has played the game and carried the game is when we're out and like if I talk to I've spoken with Shanahan with the 49ers when I was down at the Senior Bowl, and he was just very, very into learning the intricacies of how we played offensive football. That respect is great. Coaches that we played that had to defend us, coordinators that had to defend us, guys going against tough physical guys like Derek Brooks and Warren Sapp and that Tampa 2 defense and the level of respect that they have for our offensive capabilities, to me is the icing on the cake is the respect that we get from our peers.
Tori, this question is for you. Ike and I worked out in the summer times. Him and Aeneas we would be, supposed to be jogging. They would be sprinting, so I had to try to keep up. How competitive were those meeting rooms with Ike and yourself in day-to-day, just going to work?
No, for all of us, Isaac, and Ricky and those guys set the tone because they was up in the front. So, and they knew their assignments, and they knew them in and out, and they carried it out every day. So you knew right away that you had to be on point, not with just your physical, but you had to know the mental part of it. More importantly, you had to know your assignment. So one of the things I picked up really quickly was like, they don't blow too many assignments. So I can count on my hand how many assignments, and Isaac's probably the same way. I can count on my hand how many assignments that I've actually blown. And I know Isaac didn't blow a lot of assignments, and Ricky and others. That was critical, man. And then that allowed us and to go out and to really play freely, play fast, and play confident because of how we studied, how we prepared, how we pushed one another. And it didn't even have to do with any trash talking one another. It was just understood. You know what I mean? Like, as a professional, it was just understood that, look, you got to know what you're supposed to do. You know that. You come out here, you play freely, you play fast. And we did that and was able to accomplish some really great things. But the practices, the film room sessions were very competitive. And it drove us, man. It really drove everybody. We pushed the defense, and the defense pushed us.
Yeah. Just to add on to that, we had great rooms. We had great teammates. We supported each other. We applauded each other's play. Yeah. We learned from each other. I mean, I know one of the biggest things for me was, I stole a whole lot of, Oz's releases off the line of scrimmage. Just his ability to make a guy miss at the line of scrimmage and use a guy's position against himself. I got a lot of that from Oz. And, just that, things like that, just the patience of a rookie pro, just the everyday exuberance of youth, of Torrey Holt coming in every day singing, that kept us going. That kept us motivated. And just the coaches that we had, Henry Ellert, Al Saunders. Yeah. I mean, there's no two better wide receiver coaches that a person could have to help elevate their game.
I have to ask both of you guys, is there any wide receivers right now that just really excite you guys, especially in the league and going into the season?
Yeah, for me, right off the jump, Jamar Chase, I'm a huge fan of. I just think he's just so prolific. Obviously, Jefferson with the Minnesota Vikings, his wiggle ability. Isaac just mentioned Oz. He has some of Oz's hips, his ability to get in and out of breaks, his wiggle is extraordinary. Devontae Adams is fantastic. I mean, he just scores the football like none other. But my young gem that I like the most is Garrett Wilson, the New York Jets from Ohio State. I just think he's a young, extending player that has a lot of ability, ton of talent, good balance, awareness, ability to run routes. They do a good job in Ohio State with their receivers. I can't think of his name. He played in the NFL, but he's their receiver coach. They do a good job out in Ohio State of developing their wide receivers. Yeah. And then I also like and I'll finish with this and let Isaac go. But I also like Terry McLaurin as well out with the Commanders. He's a hell of a player too.
Yeah, and Tori, that's Brian Hartline. A couple of years ago.
Yeah, Hartline. Yeah, thank you.
They had Ohio State out of the 10 players they had in their wide receiver room. 4 of them were from St. Louis.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and one of them was Jamison Williams with the Lions. So the first round. Yeah. So they had some good ones. Isaac, what about you in terms of watching guys?
Oh, I'm a Jamar Chase fan as well. I mean, I love the way he can run the route tree. He's a very confident route runner, confident football player. And once he gets the ball in his hands, he kind of reminds me of Tori and myself, picking up a lot of yards after the catch, things of that nature. Those guys are great. I love watching them. They're very competitive. Just a guy that comes out and just commands, respect from the defense. But when you want to look at a guy, a unicorn type guy, like a guy like Randy Moss, you have to think about Tyreek Hill and what he's able to do. I mean, this guy is just heads and shoulders faster than everyone else. And so you know what? It kind of makes you question what kind of wide receiver is he actually? You know what I'm saying? If everything was similar, if you had another guy that can run the way he used to run out there, you know, what kind of guy would he be? But when he's head and shoulders faster than everyone else, man, it's just, I mean, the light shines on the guy. And he may be the first 2,000-yard receiver that this league has ever seen. We're going to see that.
Amazing. Isaac, I love the way that you have embraced being in the Hall of Fame. I know you're in Canton. If people want to get some great cookies in Canton, where should they go?
That's right.
Unequivocally, they should go to Smoosh Cookies, the ultimate cookie ice cream sandwich. You know, it's the brainchild of my wife. It's another tree given to us by God, and he's blessed us with the ability to be at the Hall of Fame Village. And, man, we have this great brand of ice cream sandwiches. And you know what? The entire place has been full and packed out. I had the game last night, and we almost had to keep the doors locked because we wanted our employees to go home. But
that's right.
You know, I'm not a huge sweet eater, but at the same time, I gotta eat some of my product so I can be a truthful person when I describe what it is. I go in for the pistachio almond, one chocolate chip cookie, and that's all I can have. So. But it's a great brand. If you want to, we franchise the whole deal, smoothcookies.com. If you're interested in opening up a franchise somewhere in St. Louis, somewhere in North Carolina where you guys are, listen, it's one of the better brands for under $35,000 to get started. So it's special and it's sweet.
So, and Tori, I know that you're going to franchise, and who's going to build the facility to house Smoosh Cookies?
Whole Brothers Construction, absolutely. And we'll make sure all the subs get the pistachio and almond for sure.
Hey, you guys know I love you. We all love you here in St. Louis, and we can't wait to see you here in town. The third annual Legends fundraiser for the Ascension Charity Classic is going to take place Tuesday, and for tickets, and you can hear this great banter between Isaac and Tori, just go to tickets at ascensioncharityclassic.com or call 314-938-2828, 314-938-Marshall. Guys, great to hear your voices. Thanks so much, and have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Thanks, Randy.
Look forward to seeing you, St. Louis. Peace.
Yeah.
Take care.
Yeah.
Isaac and Tori, two of the all-time best here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, we've got a quick rush hour reset before we talk to Chip Carey here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN.
to partner of Celebrity Greens. We're redefining private golf.
So everybody in this room knows that Randy doing math is dangerous. But I grabbed my phone, grabbed my calculator during that break, and I did reach to the conclusion that with Kurt Warner healthy in 2000, the Rams were on pace before he got hurt for 6,027 passing yards. The all-time record in 2013 was Peyton Manning with 5,477. Kurt was on pace to beat that by 500 yards. And just to give you an idea of what was going on in that season. And that was Mike Martz's first year, and he was fearless, and the team was fearless, and they were awesome. I remember after the Super Bowl going to their first OTA, and the ball never touched the ground.
That's a beautiful thing.
Ridiculous.
That is beautiful.
It was
That's
amazing.
Football. That's offense at its purest form. Like you could get high watching that type of football.
No doubt.
Just to point that out, if you go into some of these numbers, Kurt Warner's yards per game that season was 311. That's 10 yards higher than his next closest in his career at 301. His yards per attempt, 9.9 in 2000. His career high other than that is 8.8. I mean, you just look at those ones.
Yep.
It's and
he wasn't the same after he came back from the injury.
And all that and he finished the season with 18 interceptions and 21 touchdowns. Considering the yardage they were putting up, that's incredible that those numbers aren't more gaudy.
Yeah. So here are the passing yards for each of the individual games that he started before he got hurt. 433, 379, 389, 321, 451, 302, 362, and then that's when he got hurt and Trent Green took over. And by the way, played very well. But anyway, that's where that is. A couple of notes. The Cardinals won last night. Go Cards. Or no, they didn't. They lost. I'm sorry. Jack Flaherty won his game, though.
You were thinking about Jack Flaherty because he pitched 6 innings, had like 8 strikeouts. He performed really well. You thought that he was still in the Cardinals uniform.
Yeah, I did.
It's a different bird.
Yeah, different bird. Beating a different bird, Paul DeYoung and the Blue Jays. But
bird on bird
Jordan
crime.
Hicks and Cabrera and they got a bunch of former Cardinals out there
in that series.
It's like the Detroit Red Wings, basically, like how they've turned into like Blues 2.0.
Right.
Which I mean, not as much anymore, but you get what I'm saying.
Well, but they did it when they won the Cups too, like with Shanny and Duchesne and Hully, and that was fun to watch all those former Blues win Stanley Cups with the blanket Red Wings.
No, not really.
It was the worst. Just the worst.
Frustrating.
Yeah. It's terrible. Our former coach, Scotty Bowman. We fire the guy. He goes and wins like 40 Stanley Cups, and like 20 of them are with the stupid Red Wings. The stupidest logo and just everything.
There's a wheel
I
on a
reopened
wing.
that wound.
I don't want
a wing
anything.
on a wheel.
What are people thinking? Who invented something like that? Come on.
It's the Motor City. They got to have the motor part, and I don't know what the wings are for. I don't see flying away.
It seems like you have a wing or a wheel, but not a wheel with a wing.
Wing on a wheel. Put it together.
One or the other. The Cardinals.
There's a boot company out of Detroit, and I've always wondered if they got their name from the team or the team got their name from the
I'm guessing they got their name from the team.
I would think so, but it would be kind of funny if they were named after a boot company. That would make me laugh.
Well, now I got to know.
Red Wing shoes, right?
Yeah,
Red Wing shoes. It's old.
Makes
It's an old company. I don't think it's as old as the Red Wings, like franchise though.
I gotta know.
They're apparently pretty good work boots too. If you're somebody that needs work boots,
right? Yeah.
Which I could kick some Red Wings fans with.
Oh,
you're not allowed. Remember that was taken away from you. You can't.
That's right.
Your favorite day.
I did get that phone call. You are 100% right.
Your favorite day.
Yeah.
You can't. Offer to put hands on a.
Red Wing Shoes was founded in 1905.
Oh, so the Red Wings they stole it.
They stole
it. Look at the logo for the Red Wing shoes. So it's so the Red Wings, that entire legacy, one of the most dominant teams in NHL history, has a legacy of a shoe company.
Thieves.
Thieves.
Really well.
All right, the Cardinals take on the Rockies.
I did want to go back real quick. What was that memo like when you got that phone call about?
So here's the thing.
Do you know what he told me?
I think so.
He used to have
we did punch a Red Wings fan in the face, which really elicited some chuckles here in the building.
Yeah.
But here's what happened. Number one, we became a really politically correct society. People thought, you're going to cause people to punch a Red Wings fan in the face. I'm walking into the Enterprise Center, and the cops are coming up to me on punch a Red Wing fan in the face. They said, just want you to know. And I'm thinking, We got your back. I love the city police officers. They're the best. But the other part of it was what you're thinking about is there was this. Okay.
I love story time.
He wound up getting a disease that caused him to have to retire. But his name is Brian Bickle. He played for the Blackhawks.
Okay.
And he was just being a jerk during a playoff series. So we're doing a show at Patty O's, and I said, I got $100 of my own money for any Blues player that knocks that creep Bickle out of tonight's game. Channeling my inner Reg Dunlap from the movie Slapshot. Every hockey person knows it. And we start getting a bunch of text offers saying, yeah, we'll help out. I'll throw $100 in. Now, was a Blues player listening and going to take Bickle out? Probably not. We were going to give the money to charity. But, again, channeling Slapshot, I get a call from our general manager who says, you can't put a bounty on a man's head, just like the owner did in Slapshot to Reg Dunlap. And Reg Dunlap said, I just did, and hung up on him.
Oh, wow.
So I did that. I put the, I said, I just did. And it was during a break, so I had to be quick, and I hung up on him. And then he calls up during the next break and says, no, I'm serious.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, Bickle survived the series. So there you have it. That's your Rush Hour Reset on 101 ESPN. Coming up, we're going to talk to Chip from Bally Sports, the TV voice of the Cardinals on 101 ESPN. champion Kerry Davis. I'm Randy Karraker. It's always great to go to the celebrity line when standing by is the superb TV voice of the St. Louis Cardinals, Chip Carey, who you can see tonight as the Cardinals take on the Rockies on Bally Sports, 7:15 game, Paul Goldschmidt bobblehead night at the ballpark. Chip, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. Good morning.
Are you a bobblehead collector by any chance?
I'm not, actually. I'm not. In fact, I don't really keep a whole lot of that memorabilia stuff. I probably should. But as many years as I've done big league games and all the bobbleheads they've given away, I probably need a bigger house, and I don't know if I want the one that's as big as I have now. So,
have you ever had a bobblehead made of one Chip Carey?
Good Lord, no. I don't think they can afford to make the eyebrows that
big. Hey, I got a kick out of the conversation, and for people that weren't tuned in last night, first of all, shame on you. But second of all, I was glad that you made the comp between Max Fried and Matthew Liberatore. Can you talk about the timeline of Max Fried? Because people don't realize he's 30 years old now, how he became what he became.
Yeah, it was Max Fried and Zach Thompson, actually. Max was a guy that we got from San Diego. He had Tommy John surgery, we being the Braves, of course, back when I was in Atlanta. They made a bunch of deals with the Padres and brought him over. He was a number one pick. He pitched on the same team, the Jack and the Giolito out at Harvard-Westlake High School in L.A. And he was a guy that they brought into the system and very slowly, patiently let him heal from Tommy John and then slowly built up his innings. He got to the major leagues, and he learned how to pitch out of the bullpen. He was a spot starter. He'd go 3-4 innings. They wouldn't stretch him out an awful lot, but he pitched out of the bullpen. Didn't pitch in a whole lot of high-leverage situations, but pitched in the 6th or 7th inning of 3 or 4 run league games, and then would occasionally get a chance to start. And as he got more and more comfortable with his arsenal, as his velocity ramped up, that curveball was always there. He learned how to get guys out, and all of a sudden turned into the monster that is the best pitcher on that Braves staff. And when I saw Zach Thompson in spring training, when I saw his stuff, his pitch mix, his size, and obviously his handedness, that's the first guy that immediately popped into my head. And, those aren't really fair comparisons because Max is an established, as you said, 30-year-old guy, and Zach is starting to learn how to do this up here. But I just thought it was an intriguing comp and a guy that reminded me of what Max was, and who knows, maybe Zach will turn into that same kind of pitcher with the same kind of pitch arsenal.
Well, going back to Matthew Liberatore, that was a very rough second inning for him, but he was able to stabilize a little bit after that. What do you think about their approach with him for the rest of the season? Do they just continue to let him work through this stuff, especially as you're trying to figure out this starting rotation for next year?
I think so. I think that's the wisest course of action. And it's a real thing when you're a young guy getting to the major leagues. The first thing you think about is, okay, I'm here. And then the next thing is, okay, what do I have to do to stay? And when you make a spot start here and there, or you're pitching inconsistently out of the bullpen, you always wonder day to day, okay, if I have a bad game, am I going back to AAA or worse? And I think for Matthew, it's a confidence thing. The Cardinals, I think, as we all know, are looking for pitching for next year. This is an opportunity for Dakota Hudson, for Zach Thompson, for Matthew Liberatore, for JoJo Romero, for all of those young guys or younger guys to show what they've got and show what they can do, and at least plant the seed in the heads of the Cardinals front office and manager that, hey, I belong in the conversation at least for next year. You're right. It was one bad inning for Matthew, 2 homers. But other than that, he pitched a reasonably good ball game. So that's an encouraging step forward for him. And with his stuff, again, a guy that throws 95 and with a big curveball, there's no reason why he can't be successful up here. He just has to have success and keep building on it, I think.
Chip, the Cardinals are 11 games back in the division, 14 games under 500. Obviously, the players still believe that there's an opportunity until there's not an opportunity. But what are some realistic expectations, and what do you want to see from them for the rest of 2023 going into 24?
We've touched on it a little bit, pitching growth. The Cardinals have got to pitch. They've got to pitch better. They've got to get more depth in the pitching staff. I think they need veteran starters. We've talked a lot about swing and miss stuff. I think that's something they're definitely going to pursue. Sonny Gray, who pitched against the Cardinals last night, how good would he look at a Cardinal uniform? I'm not tampering. I'm just dreaming. The guy was really, really good. And that's the kind of stuff that I think, a top of the rotation guy kind of looks like. And that's something the Cardinals are definitely going to need. Secondly, growth from the young players. You want to see Nootbaar continue to develop his power and his patient approach at the plate and catch everything in the outfield. Jordan Walker, we know he's going to hit. We know he's going to have his good offensive moments. How much more comfortable and instinctive does he look in the outfield? Where does Tommy Edman fit in? Nolan Gorman, can he stay healthy, get the back and the foot healthy, and stay in the lineup and put together big offensive and defensive numbers down the stretch? And more importantly, I think, keep the veteran guys engaged. Arenado and Goldschmidt are such pros. They didn't expect to have a kind of year like this. I think how they approach these final 50-odd games or so is going to be really, really important, and I expect nothing but true professionalism from the two of them because when you have a down year, you need your leaders to lead, and I know that they're going to do that. So those are things that I personally will look forward to watching.
You talked about Jordan Walker and his growth in the outfield. The Cardinals had been taking him out in late in games and late innings. What are your thoughts about that? Do you think he needs to just continue to get those reps? I know they want to give some other guys opportunities, but aren't those reps as important as other guys getting those opportunities?
I think it depends on the situation. If you have a chance to win the game, you want to win the game first. Like if it's Adam Wainwright, because there are other things in play. Adam's pitching tonight. You've got a 3-1 game, and you've got some speed guys up there for Colorado, and Adam's got a chance to win the game. You got to put your all-hands-in outfield out there, don't you, to try to help him win the game. The Cardinals, as you said, are still trying to be competitive in the division, still have not yet been eliminated, and crazier things have happened. The first goal is to win the game, and if the pattern has been to pull him in a close game late for your best defensive outfield, I think you've got to stick with that until you don't really have a chance to do anything. Maybe it's pie in the sky, but I like what Miles Michaelis said. The best way to approach this from a mental standpoint is we're still alive until we're not. And if that's the case, you got to play the game to try to win it, not develop entirely, I think.
Okay, Chip, as a lifelong baseball observer then along these lines, you've got a 4-2 lead, you've got a runner at second in the 9th inning. Newt Barr, Carlson, and Edman. Who do you want playing center field for you?
Tommy Edman. I think Tommy's our best center fielder. He looks terrific out there. I like Dylan in. You can put Dylan in the left. You can put Newt Barr in right. He's got a strong arm. But I think the way Tommy goes and gets the ball in center, it's so instinctive. His first step is so quick. We've seen him make great plays all summer long. I think defensively, as the team is constructed right now, Edman in center is your best defensive center fielder.
You're definitely going to ruffle some feathers with that one, Chip, because people have a lot of feelings on that. But I also just want to ask you real quick, because of the trade deadline earlier this week, what were your takeaways from it? It's always hard seeing guys go, but what do you think about some of the prospects that they got in return?
I love it when people say, oh, the team A won this deal and team B lost this deal. We don't know the answer to that. And the example I gave on the broadcast the other night was the guy that closed for the Twins. He was a throw-in in the deal that sent Eduardo Escobar to Arizona 5 years ago. It took him 3 years to work through the Twins system. He got to the big leagues last year. Now he's their closer, throwing 103 miles an hour. We don't know. I think John Mozeliak and Randy Flores and Michael Gersh did an excellent job of acquiring pitching depth. The metrics look good on these guys. The statistics look good on these guys. They're strike throwers. They're strikeout guys. Now, whether that continues as they make their way into AA and AAA in the major leagues, only time is going to tell. But they addressed a glaring need that the Cardinals have, and that was pitching depth, and not just pitch-to-contact guys, but guys that have the potential to develop into big swing-and-miss guys. And if they pan out, great. And as I've said before, in Atlanta at least, when they would draft and develop and trade for pitchers, they said for every 10 you've got, one's going to make it. So you've got to buy in bulk, and that's what the Cardinals did, and we'll see how it works out. And as far as Jack and Montgomery and Cabrera and Jordan Hicks, all of those guys were free agents. All of those guys had terrific Cardinal careers. There's no rule that says that St. Louis can't try to sign them back, but they get a chance to compete for a playoff spot and increase their value. So ultimately, it really was a win-win situation in a disappointing season for St. Louis.
Chip, you called your shot the other night when Jordan Walker came to the plate and hit a home run. You got any predictions for us tonight?
I think Adam Wainwright's going to get a win tonight. He's pitched really well. He's pitched really well his last two starts. I really think that Adam's on a mission. The Cardinals really want to help him accomplish this goal and this milestone. Offense has not been the problem for St. Louis. I think they're going to get him some runs tonight against a Rockies team that's in perpetual rebuild and historically has not been a very good team on the road. So hopefully the Cardinals can jump out, give Adam 4 or 5 to play with. He can pitch deep in the game on a muggy night, wear these guys down, and move a step closer to 200 tonight.
And finally, in addition to being a terrific broadcaster, Chip Carey is a great businessman. I noticed last night you mentioned that Drew Goodman, the Rockies broadcaster, has a palatial penthouse suite on the road. I'm sure that that's part of your deal on the road, right? You've got yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's fantastic. It's all of 50 square feet on the road. And if I'm lucky, they give me a window.
Chip, we always appreciate your time. It was good to see you earlier this week, by the way, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks so much for the time, and have a great weekend against the Rockies. We'll be tuned in.
Sounds great, guys. Enjoy your weekend as well.
See you later. That's the great Chip Carey joining us on 101 ESPN. Next up, Our friend Xavier Scruggs from MLB Network and ESPN has some interesting takes on this year's Cardinals. We'll hear those next on 101 ESPN. Hey, guys, I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you have a lot of energy to do all the things you want to do, whether it's playing golf or going for a run or a bike ride or getting through a workout or coaching kids. Whatever it is, I don't want it to wear you out. And if you're older than 30 years old, and you do get worn out during the weekends just because you're doing physical stuff and you come home and you crash on the couch, could be an issue with low T. You know, you can get the energy back that you had when you were younger by going to Mentality at lowtusa.com. Mentality has 2 great clinics in the St. Louis metro area. They've got one in Chesterfield and one in South County. I'm a regular there. And when you go to lowtusa.com, you'll find out what they do. They have an FDA-approved testosterone treatment that will restore your testosterone level back to where it was. And when they restore your testosterone level, they restore your ability to get through those workouts or those coaching sessions. They restore your physical stamina. And a lot of that irritability and impatience and anxiety that you might be dealing with goes by the wayside. Go to lowtusa.com. Find out what they do. They'll work with your insurance company so that your out-of-pocket is very low, and get back to being the guy that you want to be with Mentality at lowtusa.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Cardinals are back in action today, starting a series against the Rockies at Busch Stadium. And tonight, Adam Wainwright's on the hump as he goes for win number 199. Here on the opening drive today, you can go back and listen to all our interviews on the Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers podcast. We had Super Bowl champions Tori Holt and Isaac Bruce on earlier, and they got a little heated about some articles about the greatest wide receiver duos of all time. Chip Carey, Cardinals broadcaster, just joined us last segment, and we also spoke to voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber, a little bit earlier about the Blues YouTube documentary special starting and coming out on Monday. You can check out all of those again on 101 ESPN and our Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers podcast. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
One, two, three, four.
Every Sunday night, we have a 101 ESPN TV show on Fox 2. It's called The 101 on Sports. And this week, I'm going to talk to our friend, former Cardinal, and now of ESPN and MLB Network, Xavier Scruggs. And right off the bat, for this interview that you will see on Sunday night on Fox 2, I asked Xavier, what happened to the 2023 Cardinals? I did. I swear. Where is it? Hold on, it was supposed to play. It said it apparently doesn't want to play, according to Matthew.
Yeah, that's like the billion-dollar question, right? And I think just watching the games, we've seen it was a mix of a lot of different things. First and foremost, I'll start with starting pitching. I mean, we both know you don't get very far, especially if your starters are not going deep into ball games. And it doesn't have to be every starter, but at least the top tier or the number one, number two. And you can arguably say the Cardinals never really had a number one, number two starter this year. Really disappointing. Obviously, some injuries to, an Adam Wainwright, who had pitched well in the past and had been a mainstay in the rotation. But at the same time, underperformances from multiple guys. And then I look at, the Cardinal way is something that we talk about a lot, and it is a real thing because I was a former player in the organization. It's more of the attention to detail. And we didn't see that much at all, especially in the beginning of the season, whether it be base running mistakes, whether it be mental errors, whether it be defensive mistakes that usually they're so focused on and prioritized. That was all off. And then the last thing I'll really say is mostly about the offense, but I think what stuck out to me was the outfield specifically. It was almost like the outfield was one of those areas that you came into question with at the beginning of the season. You expected at least a couple of those guys to perform, whether it be Dylan Carlson, whether it be Tyler O'Neill, who we've seen perform in the past, Jordan Walker, who actually has done well so far this year. But to me, the outfield never performed and never got off to a good start. And the one outfielder in Jordan Walker that did ultimately had to pay the price for many guys not performing, and he himself got sent down.
Right. So they struggle. Mo says, yeah, we're going to sell. You've been in this organization, like you said. You know how much they win and how much they like winning. So what did you think of the approach at the deadline?
Yeah, I really thought it was the only answer that they had, just because you try to restart something from roster construction that'll give you an opportunity in 2024 and beyond. And I think one thing we've seen with Mo is that he knows how to put a winner on the field. Whether or not we question that this year, he has the intentions to go out there and turn this thing around. And I think that's important to do, especially when you talk about bringing in younger starting pitching and younger players that have performed in the past and guys that have the real potential to change something up in this organization. And I think that's something that had to be done. We saw it done to a certain extent, and maybe even more could have been done. But at the same time, I'm glad that it wasn't a situation where Mo just stood pat and said, okay, we'll figure it out along the way, or we'll figure it out next year. No, you have to make immediate action, and I thought he did the right things.
And Xavier, it's interesting to look around in different fashions. The Reds lost 100 games last year, and they turned it around. The Rangers lost a bunch of games. They spent money. The Diamondbacks just allowed their team to kind of marinate, and finally they've reached a point where they're a playoff contender. It seems to me like baseball, you don't need to tank for 5 years now. You can turn things around relatively quickly, especially if you have the corner guys like the Cardinals do.
Yeah, I was going to say that there's teams that are able to turn it around quickly because they have some cornerstone pieces. And I think that can be said for the Cardinals when you look at Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt specifically. But also I look at guys who have performed in the past. It's not like this team is a super young team and guys just haven't proven themselves. We've seen performances come out of Tyler O'Neill. We've seen performances come out of Tommy Edman, Brendan Donovan. These guys have all performed at a high level in the major leagues. You could expect there to be some changes for themselves personally to make the adjustments for next year as well. So, and then I think there's also, something that I missed on touching about earlier that you mentioned, asking me about what happened. I really think the Yachty situation was a big deal to this team when they didn't have the leadership in a Yachty or Molina, and even a guy they had last year and Pujols come back. Adam Wainwright was in that locker room with them. There was a different atmosphere there in that clubhouse. Most of those guys will tell you. And then you bring in a different cornerstone in a Contreras at the catcher position, who we've seen perform offensively before, and he really struggled in the beginning of this season. So many things had snowballed, but at the same time, they have the pieces to really allow themselves to propel into next year and be great.
I want to go back to your discussion about fundamentals, too, because that was striking to me. I think it was striking to most Cardinal fans to see what happened. Is that something that is an easy fix for a baseball team? When you struggle like the Cardinals did, and they have been better defensively of late, we got to give them credit for that.
Yeah.
But is it an easy fix?
I don't think it is. And I think we saw that early on in this season. It's more about focus, and it's more about intention and more about leadership along those assets, as well as expecting yourself to be better and to put in the time and the work. And a lot of things, to me, a lot of times, and this is after talking to Ollie Marmol too, is just you think about other things that came along with the Cardinal struggles this year, and them starting to see some of these other teams like the Pirates play really good at the beginning of this season. And then you're starting to think about catching up instead of staying focused on the day-to-day prioritizing, whether it be ground balls, whether it be mentally focused on base running. I think those things took a back burner to really them trying to catch up and trying to make up for what they had not done. And I think that's something that's going to have to continue to be addressed. I think that's going to go into the offseason. Individually, guys are going to have to make those adjustments over the offseason and going into next year. And to answer your question, it's not something that can just be turned to switch. Otherwise, we would have saw the Cardinals do it earlier in the season.
And if you can play that way, and Tony was always a big advocate of this, if you can play good, clean baseball, the way the game is played now, if you do that, inevitably, the other team's going to find a way to beat themselves. You don't even have to win games. Just let the other team lose it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then that's so right. And you think about, obviously, Hall of Fame manager, and you think about this Cardinals team not having the strikeout stuff. That makes it that much more important to prioritize. If you don't have strikeout pitchers, that defense has to be on point, or otherwise it gets exposed quickly and you find yourself always playing catch up in the games.
I am such a fan of Xavier Scruggs, and you'll be able to see that entire interview on Sunday night on Fox 2 on the 101 on Sports, Sunday night at 11 o'clock, and then you'll be able to see it on our 101 ESPN YouTube channel as well. And I think it's interesting, Brooke, to hear him say, no, you just can't turn on a switch and do fundamentals. That's something that starts on the ground floor at spring training and has to last throughout the season. And fortunately, the Cardinals have gotten a little better in that regard, but you have to start early. You can't play bad fundamentals for 100 games and then all of a sudden start picking it up, because if you do, you're going to be out of it after 100 games.
And that needs to be hammered. So just add that to kind of the laundry list for the Cardinals going to next year, because you can't have that repeat again. Coming up here, we're going to head down the stretch with a little rock and roll on 101 ESPN.
and roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
All right, let's get a little rock and roll as we head down the stretch of this week of spectacular programming on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Matthew, what do you got for us?
Well, I heard this amazing piece of audio about our hero, our good friend, Tow Mater. And I just thought Brooke Grimsley had to hear it. The man...
Why are you going to call me out
myth,
like that?
The legend,
Full government
well-known
name.
across multiple baseball franchises and their markets. Here's what the Minnesota Twins were talking about of their former player.
I have a confession to make. I had completely forgotten that Taylor Mater was a Twin. In 2018, he had 19 at-bats and had 1 hit.
I had forgotten that, too.
There's a strike. Did you remember that he was with the Twins very briefly? Well, I don't feel so bad then. One strike to the former Twin. Popped up to end the inning.
Brooke, the floor is yours.
Oh, gosh. It's too easy, right? Oh, that's kind of sad. I did see that video last night, and I chuckled a little bit. Because how could you forget with those numbers?
Well, clearly we will not forget the Tow Mater era here in St. Louis.
Is this like the most that he's played for? Hold on, I'm looking to see.
No, he played in Seattle.
Oh,
he played
you're right.
92 games in Seattle.
There you go.
280 plate appearances.
But then after that, yeah.
Well, I told you all, I have a soft spot in my heart for 30-year-old men that are working their way to try to stay on the ball club.
Of course.
Yep. I understand it, man. Keep fighting. If they paying you, you don't worry about what anybody says.
Oh, man. Yeah, a guy that sticks with it like that. And then the organization that will give him that opportunity to try to work through some of the things that have held him back in the past and try to turn into the player that he knows he can be.
It hasn't been very good, though.
Yeah. That's...
How much does he weigh?
He weighs, I think, almost 200 pounds.
What's he?
No,
He's hitting 174.
He's over 200.
Yeah, we had this debate. CD thinks that they might be fibbing on the numbers.
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
So 2027, are we going to remember the Tow Mater era here in St. Louis? I think
I'll
we
never
are,
forget this.
Thanks to Brooke Grimsley.
I will never forget this.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's played in how many games for the Cardinals now? 15 games, 46 plate appearances.
Yeah, he'll be remembered fondly.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think we might forget Trace Barrera.
No, we'll never forget Trace Barrera either because of this show.
All right, fair enough.
We need to have, by the way, Trace be one of the guys that's called up as the Cardinals expand to 28 so that both of those guys are on the team at the same time.
Yeah, you got to use one of your 2 spots on a 4th catcher.
Yeah,
Why
sure.
not?
Oh, God.
No.
Well, one of them is playing the outfield, right?
There you go.
I think if that happens next season, people will lose their mind.
I kind of think that might happen.
Or maybe it's just me. I'll just lose my mind.
Get ready.
One thing I wanted to touch on that we weren't able to talk about today, the curious case of what's going on in New York, as Anthony Rizzo looks like he's been sent to the IL, quote-unquote, with likely concussion syndrome. He made a statement yesterday that he said he's noticed that he was more tired, but he attributed it to the grind of the season. He mentioned waking up feeling hungover and occasionally forgot the number of outs. Testing showed his reaction time was slower. Quote-unquote, I didn't just forget how to do this all of a sudden. A lot of people have nailed it down to a May 23rd incident when they were checking Fernando Tatis back at first base, and when Fernando Tatis was coming into the bag, his knee or his hip caught Rizzo in the head, and he was clearly dazed. Before that day, Rizzo on the season was hitting 304. Since that May game, Rizzo has hit 172. How did it take him this long to figure it out?
This is called in New York the Scores syndrome. And it has nothing to do with concussions. It has everything to do with being out and partying and having fun at Scores.
Well, I mean, as a person who has had a few concussions in his lifetime, it doesn't take you 3 months to realize you were concussed.
Maybe you're hitting 174. You say, oh, this could be a concussion.
You would know that, I mean, the lingering effects, the effects generally take place You know that right away. Something's off. I don't feel like myself.
Post-concussion syndrome is a real thing, though.
I hope he's okay.
And
3 months?
And if you weren't diagnosed with a concussion.
3 months?
Yeah.
You aren't going to just all of a sudden say, oh, May 28th, that hit I took in the head. You will know. You feel off right away. It's not something that goes away. If it's a concussion, it may come and go, but it's you know that you have something off. Rock, I've seen guys say they were Batman in a locker room, literally.
Like they meant it?
Dead serious.
Yeah. And he's one of the best guys in baseball, too. That's a shame. This is sad. Oh, hey, here's
a lot of people just thought this would create like a big union story that they skipped protocols and things like that.
Yeah. DeFar told a story about how one time he got a concussion in the second quarter. They took him back to the locker room. Everybody comes back after the game, and everybody's getting undressed, and he's saying, guys, what are you doing? We got to go back out for the second half.
I had one, first of all, in college. I walked to the wrong huddle. Luke Buckus grabbed me, said, hey, what are you doing? I was walking to Northwestern's huddle. I was like, I'm good. Took me to the sideline. This is back in early 2000s. You know, we didn't really think concussions were a thing. The doctor said, hey, I'm going to give you 3 words, ball, dog, and apple. And I'll come back in a few minutes. You got to tell me those 3 words. Came back in a few minutes. Said, Doc, all I can tell you is ball, baby. That's all I know.
Oh, my gosh.
That's all I know.
All I can tell you is ball.
He asked me to count backwards from 100 by 7. I said, Doc, wouldn't be able to do that if I wasn't messed up. You might as well let me go play. Got back in the game. Won the Big Ten championship.
Oh, there you go.
It's an important game.
Yes.
All I know is ball, baby.
Quite the rigorous concussion protocol.
Well, this is back in the early 2000s. We didn't consider concussions that then. But what Anthony Rizzo is going through, I would assume. I'm watching the play. Yeah, his head got jammed.
He gets
back.
dinged up a little bit, and he's clearly a little dazed.
It's possible, but
it's a pretty stark statistical drop-off from that day, too.
I think you would have known that then.
Yeah.
I don't want to, make light of his issue or injury.
Yeah, you never know what it could be.
I've had a concussion.
By the way, person, woman, man, camera, TV. Just remember those, and you can be cognitively set. Ooh. Person, woman, man, camera, TV. And you can be president, too.
Batman.
Set that one right in there. That was nicely done. That was nicely played.
Thank you very much. Great job this week by our producer, audio engineer, Matthew Rocchio.
Pleasure.
Brooke, was it fun for you today?
Yes.
Even though Tom Otter had his little, he had an opportunity in the night. That's what we have to look at it.
Yes. That's, wish him the best.
We do.
We'll see him again, probably tonight.
We will. And we'll get to see Fermin, too, right? Jose Fermin. He'll get another opportunity out there. That's good. CD?
I poke bears.
Oh, yeah, you do.
I enjoy it.
Yeah. Hey, and we thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. We've got a balloon party with T-Mac and Ajax coming up, and then BK and Ferrario from 11 to 2, and then at 2 o'clock, it's the Fast Lane with Anthony and Jamie Rivers. That's it.
Jamie Rivers.
Yeah.
You got a little,
and Marshy.
Yes, you okay?
I'm good.
Okay.
And
Marshy. Yeah.
Marshy's going to be there, too. Yeah. And I think BT might join them on Friday as well for a little while. So it'll be an extravaganza. It'll be a spectacle for the Fast Lane. For all of us until Monday morning at 7. Have a great weekend, St. Louis.
That's right.